Here's Kathy. Know what people say about her?
She has the freshest mouth in town. Hi.
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 Freshest mouth in town.
And they're right. Kathy does have the freshest mouth in town because she chews Dentine. Dentine chewing gum.
Okay, Dentine, do your stuff.
Taste that tingle? That Dentine tingle. The tingle tells you your mouth is fresh. Your breath is fresh. Really fresh when you chew Dentine.
See what I mean?
Chew clean-tasting Dentine, and you too can have the freshest mouth in town.
Dentine, that's all it takes.
Dentine Regular, Spearmint, and refreshing new Peppermint.
To the hustle!
It's the all-new Brady Bunch with guest stars Lee Majors, Farrah Fawcett Majors, Captain Cool and the Kongs, Ann B. Davis, and Rip Taylor. From the producers of Donnie and Marie, it's the Brady Bunch Hour. Sunday at 7 on ABC.
I'm Barbara Bain.
I'm Martin Landau.
Join us here on Channel 11 for the most exciting new television show ever.
Space 1999. The excitement never stops. The moon is hurled into outer space,
Taking us and you into unlimited adventure.
Come with us and our co-star Barry Morse.
Space 1999. It's going to be a very good year.
Right here on Channel 11.
Hey, what time is it?
It's Podblast time!
That's right, it's Podblast time. How are you? I'm Chance Bartels, your host. This is the Nostalgia Show with a bite, because it bites. Hey, we had a couple sad losses in the entertainment world. If you're a retro sci-fi geek like me, you may have watched a show called Space 1999, and there was an actor named Prentis Hancock who passed away. Now, some of you might be saying, Prentis Hancock, ain't he the guy that did that song Axel F for Beverly Hills Cop? It was like no, that's Herbie Hancock.
Well, it's Prentis Hancock. I know he's the great grandson of John Hancock, who signed the Declaration of Independence from England when the USA was formed.
No. We're talking about a thespian, an actor named Prentis Hancock. No relation that I'm aware of to John Hancock or Herbie Hancock. And I'm going to show you a picture of who he is right now. And, oh my gosh, that was here earlier. My buttons are working properly again, so we're going to have a much better show. This is the gentleman I'm talking about. And this was from my thumbnail image. This is a signed card he signed for me. Labor Day weekend, 2000. In the year 2000, back in, or up in Manhattan, New York City at the Crowne Plaza Hotel at Broadway and 46th Street. He just was really, really nice. And that's what he looked like in his spacesuit. Here's what he looked like out of the spacesuit. He had a mustache, and he wasn't terribly well known, but he was known to Gen Xers. If you're a Gen X geek like me, then you know who he is. And here's the photo that the family put up announcing his death. He passed away on May 30th, 2025. He was born on Thursday, May 14th, 1942 in Scotland, in Glasgow. I didn't know that. I thought he was British. He might have been raised in England, but he was born in Scotland. And I just don't like that terrible wig, but the family probably put that image up. So, you know, that's their choice, and God bless him. But He only was in year one of Space 1999. So I have a trivia question for you. How many episodes of Space 1999 did Prentis Hancock appear in? How many episodes did he actually act in? It's not a trick question. So I'm not talking about like if there's a flashback scene or something like that. How many episodes was he in? Just straight up. Just give me a number. I'm just curious to know if you know. And we're going to look at some clips of him. For those that have not seen some of his acting, you're going to see a nice example of the man's talent. And then also, like I said, we're going to talk about Pippa Scott. Here's a picture of Pippa Scott. She passed away at the age of 90. There she is in The Virginian. She did many episodes of The Virginian. There she is in The Twilight Zone, The Trouble with Templeton from 1960. There she is in the Executioners episode with James Drury of The Virginian. I love that Western. It was a 90-minute Western on NBC in full color, one of the early color shows. Of course, The Adventures of Superman and Bonanza were the pioneers of color television. They even did one Hazel episode in color in season 1 of that program. Way before color TVs were made popular. By 1966, all the network programming was in color. And there's Pippa Scott in The Fugitive, but we'll talk about her briefly later. That's in the episode The Garden House. So I've got to set this up by talking about how much I love this show. There's some Space 1999 Donruss cards. And they had actually really good bubblegum, Donruss did. I think they were the best bubblegum makers of all of the cards, whether it's Topps, way better than Topps Gum. Topps Gum was like cardboard. It was terrible. But here's some pictures of the Space 1999 card set. There's only 66 cards. It's from 1976. That was the year that year 2 of Space 1999 went into production at Pinewood Studios in England. There's the very first card, and it shows a shot from one of my favorite episodes, The Last Sunset, which is also known as the Spring Break episode, where the moon is given an atmosphere. Now, some background on the show. Speaking of background, behind me is the main mission set. That's the year 1 main mission set, like the headquarters, if you will, the heart of Moonbase Alpha. In the show, it was set in the far-flung future of 1999, filmed in 1973, the pilot was, and in 1974, season 1 was. And, I think they should have set it like in the year 2059 or 2099, but they chose 1999, so that dated the show. Certainly, we don't have a base on the moon by Earthlings, not that I'm aware of anyway, unless it gets uncovered in some secret document, but I doubt we have a base on the moon. Let me just tell you some quick history of the show. It was originally intended to be season 2 of a show called UFO, letter U, letter F, letter O, or UFO, but it was called and pronounced UFO, like an enemy, a foe, F-O-E, but it was spelled like UFO. And that was a show set in the far-flung future of 1980, in which a secret military installation, Shadow, Supreme Headquarter Alien Defense Organization, Supreme Headquarters Alien Defense Organization, known as Shadow, that's the acronym, was set up after they discovered the aliens. The government discovered they were stealing human bodies and taking their organs out so they could adapt to living on Earth. They needed like a liquid in their raw human form. Their spacesuits had a liquid in it. Anyway, long story short, there are only 26 episodes produced of UFO. It was an excellent show by Jerry and Sylvia Anderson. Prior to that, they've done a lot of puppet shows like Fireball XL5, Stingray, things of that nature. But UFO was their first live action show with real human actors. And it was very, very well done. It was shot in England. Barry Gray did the music. He's the same Barry Gray that scored season 1 of Space 1999. And so it was just a really nice high budget show. And you can find UFO or UFO on YouTube if you want to check it out. It's very, very well done. It's like watching a James Bond movie. And they had these militarized tanks. They had submarines. They had a base on the moon. That's where the Space 1999 connection comes into play. So ITC Entertainment and Sir Lou Grade commissioned a second season of UFO with one condition. He said, you can't have it set on Earth. They go, what? How are we going to do that? So they came up with this cockamamie plot where in the year 1999 and leading up to 1999, nuclear waste was stored on the dark side of the moon. And in the pilot, it blows up. and the massive explosion hurls the moon out of Earth orbit, soaring into outer space. It's a preposterous storyline. You have to totally suspend your disbelief. But I bought into it as a kid, in the 1970s and 80s when I watched this show as a kid. I totally believed it. I was totally sold. So the Alphans want to find a new planet that will sustain human life, of course, that they can live on, so they can start families, because the base of Alpha, the life support system, is very delicately balanced for just about 300 or 400 people. So it was established that they really cannot permit any births. So they're all on birth control. They can't have children. Anyway, that takes us pretty much to what the show was about. And the special effects were by a guy named Brian Johnson, who later did the special effects for The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. He did the movie Alien. And previously, he'd done the effects for 2001: A Space Odyssey. I always thought there were a lot of elements of space in Space 1999 from 2001: A Space Odyssey, like the orange spacesuits, the outfits, even the title of the show. It was 2001: A Space Odyssey, like Space Odyssey, not Odyssey. Just like Space, 1999, a year. It's kind of similar. I don't know. I thought it was a similar title. I did want to mention that right before UFO, Jerry and Sylvia Anderson also did a live action movie, and it was called Doppelganger. And it was about like a mirror universe of the Earth where everything's backwards. Roy Thinnis, fresh off of The Invaders, and his real life wife at the time, Lynn Loring, starred in this movie. And it was very interesting as well. Herbert Lom was in it from the Pink Panther movies. How could an idiot be an inspector? Answer me that. That guy, the boss, who was always perturbed and had a nervous twitch when it came to Peter Sellers' character of Inspector Clouseau being a bungling idiot. Anyway, Herbert Lom was in that movie as well, Doppelganger, and it was retitled for the U.S. cinema's Journey to the Far Side of the Sun. Anyway, I just want to give you some background on Jerry and Sylvia Anderson, a real married couple who sadly later divorced, just like Martin Landau and Barbara Bain, who were the stars of Space 1999, and they'd starred previously in Mission Impossible. So that's the setup. Let's look at some clips, since we're talking about the death, Alpha and down, of this guy. That is the actor who played Paul Morrow. That's Prentis Hancock. So that is the main focus of tonight's Podblast. And we'll talk about some other nostalgic stuff. We've got some Star Wars scenes. And Joe Gutfeld had asked previously, when are you going to resume talking about the women of Star Trek? I left off towards the end of season 1 of the original Star Trek. I'm going to do that next time. I'll make sure, since you requested it, I'll get back to that. I just thought it was, I don't know. I didn't think people were digging it. I analyzed my numbers and stuff, but I will do that because I think it's a fun topic. So we'll get back to the end of season 1 of the Women of Star Trek, the original series. And that leads us up to like Joan Collins, Jill Ireland, who was the ex-wife of the actor from The Man from U.N.C.L.E., who played Ilya Kuryakin, and he played Ducky in NCIS. We're talking about McCollum, David McCollum. But also Jill Ireland later married Charles Bronson. That's whom she was married to when she passed away of ovarian cancer, sadly. Anyway, I digress. So we'll get back to the Women of Star Trek because there's a lot of notable appearances and actresses towards the end of season 1 of Classic Trek, which you can stream on Paramount Plus if you want to revisit and you're not tired of the old Star Trek, or on MeTV on Sci-Fi Saturday Night. But they play the remastered versions. I bought the Blu-rays because I'm getting off topic, but in terms of Star Trek, in 2005 and 2006 through about 2009, in syndication, they re-released the original Star Trek with enhanced special effects. It's like what George Lucas did with Star Wars, the original trilogy. Paramount sort of copied that. There are some things they could have changed and should have changed that they didn't change, and there are some things they did change that they shouldn't have changed. And so I like how on the Blu-ray you can select the original special effects or the new special effects. And then they also took out, there was a different version, actually 2 in season 1 of the original Star Trek, 2 different versions of the opening theme. And in syndication, like the versions on MeTV and on Paramount Plus, you just get like a reorchestration for all 3 seasons. You don't get like the different versions. Like there were 2 different ones for season 1, 1 different one for season 2, and for season 3 of classic Star Trek. So anyway, that's all lost now. The original openings with the space, the final frontier, that bit. So I digress. But we're talking about Space 1999 and the loss of this guy. And let me just quickly tell you about some other things he acted in. Prentis Hancock also acted in Doctor Who. I'd had this pulled up before. I had to restart the show. Anyone that wasn't here before, I had terrible technical glitches. My image was freezing. I couldn't press the buttons properly, but it's fixed now. So anyone that was here before, I'm not going to be too repetitive, but since we're starting fresh, I've got to mention, as I said previously, Prentis Hancock. Let's put his picture up if I haven't already. Let me get his photo up while I just give a little synopsis. There we go. That's a good one. And let me change my camera shot so you can see the side of my head while I tell you about him. There we go. Hey. Oh, so Prentis Hancock was born in Glasgow in Scotland way back on Thursday, May 14th, 1942. And he was a regular cast member, obviously, talked about this ad nauseum in the first season, or as they call it, year one in Space 1999 fandom of Space 1999. He played Paul Morrow. He also appeared in several Doctor Who stories throughout the 1970s, including Spearhead from Space and Planet of the Daleks with John Pertwee as the Doctor. And he was in Planet of Evil and the Ribos Operation with Tom Baker as the Good Doctor. Other TV appearances by Prentis Hancock include Spy Trap as Lieutenant Sanders. He was in Z-Cars, Colditz, Survivors, The New Avengers, Secret Army, The Return of the Saint, Minder, Chalky's Children, The Professionals, and The Bill. And his film credits include The 39 Steps, released in 1978, Defense of the Realm, released in 1985. Let me just look up some other stuff he did that I didn't mention before. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and he was 83 years of age when he passed away. He was raised and schooled in Glasgow. Okay, because earlier in the earlier stream, I said he might have been raised in England because he had a British accent. He didn't sound Scottish to me. He initially studied architecture, but developed an early affinity for the stage and began acting with a local amateur acting company. After further studies at the Rose Bruford Training College of Speech and Drama in London, Hancock made his television debut in 1969 and went on to become a very prolific actor in the medium. He was also a regular cast member in the BBC drama Spy Trap in 1972, alongside Julian Glover. Julian Glover is a wonderful actor whom I've met in person. You'd know him from The Empire Strikes Back. He was in charge of the AT-AT walker that targeted the ion generator on Hoth. Maximum firepower. And then he was also in Space 1999 in season 1, Alpha Child. We'll talk about that later. And he was in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. He chose poorly. That guy. And he was in James Bond For Your Eyes Only. He was the villain in that. He had the goatee. Yeah. Good actor. And he's still with us. And he married another guest star on Space 1999. We'll talk about that later on. His wife, Isla Blair. She was in War Games in season 1, and she was in Journey to Where in season 2, wearing a terrible wig. And in the season 1 episode, she was an alien. She was in a skull cap. I mean, they really changed her look a lot. Talking about Julian Glover's wife. All right. So let's see what else he did. Prentis Hancock also acted in, I'm going to pull up his full biography and his filmography. The last credit I see is from 2017. He was in Autopsy, The Last Hours of Patrick Swayze. He played the older Patrick Swayze. What? This has got to be wrong. In 2015, he was in a short called Next Time. In 2014, he was in Outlander, the TV series. He did a lot of stuff. I'm trying to see. In the year 1999, ironically, he was in C-15, The New Professionals, playing Carl. Let's see. Let me go back to the beginning of his career in 1969. Let's see. His first credited role was Dr. Finlay's Casebook as Mr. Campbell, and he was in the ITV Playhouse. Officer of Court was the title, and that was in 1969. He was in Last of the Mohicans, a TV miniseries in 1971. In 2 episodes, he played Lieutenant Grant. He played Detective Sergeant Stainer in Dixon of Dock Green. And that's 1971. We're going to look at that in a little while. Let's see. I mentioned Z-Cars. He was in When 8 Bells Toll in an uncredited role as an agent in 1971. He was an interrogator in a TV miniseries titled The Silver Sword in 1971. He played Paul Temple in 2 episodes. I'm sorry, he played David Moffat, a sergeant, in a show called Paul Temple in 2 episodes between 1969 and 1971. Let's see here. He was in 30-Minute Theater in 1971 in 2 episodes. He was in Softly, Softly Task Force in 1971, playing William Ross in 1 episode. He was in The View from Daniel Pike in 1971, playing Stefan. And he played Sir Thomas Fitzgerald in The Shadow of the Tower in 1972. He was in 6 Days of Justice in 1972. He was in The Frighteners in 1972. He did a lot more than I realized. He did The Finn Street Gang, playing Monty Duffy in 1972. He was in Colditz as Lieutenant Ian McDonald in 1973. He was in The Protectors. That was a great show. In 2 episodes in 73. He was in Spy Trap. In 51 episodes of Spy Trap between 1972 and 1973, playing Lieutenant Saunders, not Sanders. Wikipedia said Sanders. It's Saunders, Saunders, Lieutenant Saunders. He was in The Life and Death of Penelope in 1976, playing Sean McDermott in 1976 for 4 episodes. And he was in Space in 1999 for, I won't say how many episodes. That's your job. Someone in chat. How many episodes? Don't cheat. Just guess. Throw out a number. How many episodes of Space 1999? There's 48 total episodes. I haven't mentioned that yet of Space 1999. There's 48. How many episodes did Prentis Hancock appear in as Paul Morrow? And he was like in the second in command. I haven't mentioned this yet, of Moonbase Alpha in the beginning of the show. Speaking of the beginning of the show, he was in The New Avengers as Bart in 1976, Rogues Rock in 1976, Forget Me Not, Warship, Survivors in 1977. Warship was in 1977. The Famous Five in 1978 as Dirty Dick. I'm going to play that clip. You know what? I'm going to play that right now. And he did 14 episodes of Doctor Who. Okay, we'll get back to that. Let's look at a clip of Prentis in action as an actor as I look at the chat. I'm sorry I haven't looked at the chat yet. But here is an interesting little short. Don't have a dirty mind. It's called Stalking Dirty Dick and Maggie. That's what it's called. 1978. 3-minute clip. Let's watch this together, and then we'll get into Space 1999.
We are the famous five. Julian, Dick, and Anne, George, and Timmy the dog. We are the famous five. We're coming back to you whenever there's time, time after time.
This is Two Trees. This house.
But what are we looking for?
I'm not sure. Loot.
Whose loot?
Naylor's. When he knew that Williams was making a break for it, he gave him the message to tell the rest of the gang, Dick, Maggie, and Saucy Jane, where the stuff was.
That's not bad.
I think they're coming in. Quick, hide!
Okay, Maggie. This is it.
Don't see why we're being so careful.
I'm not sure about Williams. Waiting for ages at the barn. Why didn't he show up?
Probably been nicked by then.
Maybe. Seems okay. Right. Let's see if the diamonds are there.
Of course they'll be there. Come on. The leg's at the back.
Diamonds?
Come on.
What's up?
Nothing. It's an old boathouse. George! George, come back! I won't be a minute.
Come back, come back. Yeah, I need to come back. So that's a little slow, but I just want to give you an example of his acting. Now I want to show you his first scene ever on Space 1999, talking about Prentis Hancock. Here he is. This is where you first see him from the pilot. It was filmed in 1973 at Pinewood Studios in England. Here is the first appearance of Paul Morrow. It's just 12 seconds long.
Come on then, Marco. How are you? Hello, sir. How are you? All right. Tanya, Alexander. Hello, Tanya. Welcome back, Marco. Oh, it's good to see you.
There you have it. There it is. Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. That's TV history, science fiction television history right there. Now let's look at another 4-second clip from that first episode titled Breakaway. And by the way, you can see Space 1999 uncut on the Shout Factory official YouTube channel and on Tubi TV. I prefer the versions on Tubi TV because they're not time compressed. For some reason, Shout Factory is using the PAL European system. It's slightly sped up, the frames per second, so the actors don't sound quite right and the music doesn't sound quite right. You want to find the episodes of season 1 that are 52 minutes in length, 52 minutes and some seconds. Then you know you're watching the best quality version. And those are the ones on Tubi TV. However, I'll tell you this, it's important to watch the show in production order. That's how Shout Factory releases the episodes on their YouTube channel when they do live streams, or lately they've just individually been releasing the episodes one by one as a premiere. But you can find an episode guide, but beware of the one on IMDb. That is based on New York syndication, and it really is important to watch the show in production order in terms of character development. I'll explain later. But now, here is a 4-second clip of Prentis Hancock as Paul Morrow from Breakaway, episode 1 of Space 1999.
Burn out. Camera gone.
Second camera, please.
Isn't that exciting? Isn't that thrilling? But in the second episode, his character is actually killed, or actually it's an alternate reality. The episode's titled A Matter of Life and Death. It's one of the worst episodes, in my opinion, that was filmed for the entire 48 episodes. The plot concerns Dr. Helena Russell, played by Barbara Bain's first husband, coming back from the dead. And he was an astronaut who got lost in space. Lost in Space, 1999. And as they've blown out of Earth's orbit, I always thought it was supposed to be Planet Meta. At the end of the pilot, you see they've been trying to reach a Planet Meta. It was like the closest planet. They don't know if it's Earth type, if it can sustain human life or not. They just discovered it with their satellites and things in the pilot. And so I always thought in the second episode, that's Planet Meta. They've come across it, but it's a different color. It's like a blue. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Planet Meta is blue. The planet in Matter of Life and Death is red. So it couldn't possibly be the Planet Meta. I digress. So it's a bad episode, but let me show you the death of Paul Morrow. And actually, I had him sign a photograph. Let me show you that signed photo. Here's one of the ones he signed for me in the year 2000 in New York City. There's the other one, and that's from the scene we're going to see. Look at his hand. His hand's like melted and charred. It's because his laser gun exploded. And it's a terrible little scene. Let me play it right now. They had a lot of violence in Space 1999. They got past a lot of the censors because they went on a network. It was worldwide syndication, so they could do more. It's almost like being on cable television. So you had a little bit more horror and gore. You had downright gore in Space 1999 in some episodes, like one with Brian Blessed becoming, his body deteriorated into a skeleton, but with flesh still on it. And there was like a troubled spirit that had melted flesh from a laser wound. His entire face was melted off, the villain, in that episode. They had a lot of Italian actors by contract with ITC, and some of the actors from Italy, they spoke English, but they had really thick Italian accents and they were hard to understand. as was one of the female actors, Suzanne, who played Tanya. And I'll get to that in a minute. But let's look at Paul's death from episode 2 of Space 1999. Here's a 31-second clip. Check this out.
His lights are exploding. Let's get rid of it. Easy, go around.
It's dead. Come on.
She continues, I cannot see. Ah! I'm blind. Sorry, I didn't mean to blow your eardrums out, but she does it so well. That actress, Xenia Martin, she wound up being the love interest of Paul Morrow, the character Paul Morrow. And that actress, Xenia Martin, she's Australian. She had an incredible scream. She got to do it and emote that scream in the episode Full Circle, a preposterous plot where the Alphans go back in time, become cave people, including their clothing. When they enter a mist, it makes no sense why the molecules of their clothing will become like, animal skins. Ridiculous. But it's kind of a cool episode. But in that episode, she does this scream, as does Barbara Bain as a cave woman when she sees her husband's head bashed in by a rock by Xenia Martin's character. Oh man, she lets out a scream, boy. But Xenia could scream really well. Now let's get to Tanya. This is the third episode. It was established that the lady who was blinded in that previous clip, her boyfriend is killed in the third episode in production order, The Black Sun, which means a black hole. His eagle enters the black sun. It's sucked into it, and time and space is turned inside out. And it's a cool effect, like a wavy effect. It's like a LSD kind of effect. And so Sonya's, or Son, as she's sometimes known in season 2, he dies. And so that opens a door to a relationship with Paul Morrow, right? But before that, Paul Morrow, when they all think they're going to die, Moonbase Alpha is about to go into this black hole, and they set up a force field just to give false hope, or just a glimmer of hope they can survive. And inside that, also the black hole, like there's rapid aging. But before they go into there, Tanya approaches Paul Morrow's character who's playing guitar and hits on him. Let's watch this. But here, she's a French actress. She's no longer with us, Suzette. But her voice was different depending on the episode. Some episodes she sounded Russian. Sometimes she sounded German, like in The Last Sunset, the spring break episode. She's like, Commander, we're being invaded. She sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. But here, you can't even tell that she's French. But let's watch this 39-second clip.
Paul, mind if I share the music with you?
She's sexy, right? I mean, who wouldn't tap that, right? I mean, come on, beautiful, beautiful actress there. All right. Now we're getting to the 6th episode. I'm just showing some notable clips with Prentis Hancock because he just passed away at the age of 83. Anyone's tuning in late. He was an actor in season 1 of Space 1999 and X amount of episodes. You tell me how many episodes in the chat. That's your trivia assignment. Mr. Gutfeld, if you're still out there. So in the 6th episode, let me quickly set this up. There is a situation where the moon is duplicated by some space phenomenon. And it's duplicated, and one moon goes 5 years into the future, and the other stays in the present time. But both moons wind up miraculously finding Earth. And what they don't know is that they're on opposite ends of the Earth, and eventually one of the moons is going faster than the other, and it's going to collide. And so they encounter themselves in the future. Now, in this 5-year alternate universe of Moonbase Alpha, Commander Koenig, played by Martin Landau, is dead. He and Alan Carter died in an Eagle crash. An Eagle's like their spaceship. It sounds like an airplane. And that's probably what the sound effects team did. They took audio from airplanes because it seemed very realistic. Anyway, their Eagle crashed on the moon and they're dead. So, of course, our Alan Carter and our commander, John Koenig, are very much alive, right? And so it causes problems when they encounter their 5-year in the future selves. And a weird thing is that Barry Morse's character has dark hair, and especially in the future 5 years, usually you get gray. You don't lose gray unless he found an old box of Just for Men on that Earth in Santa Maria. That's the only habitable place left on Earth after the moon broke away from Earth orbit. There were tidal waves and all sorts of disasters in the story. And so they had discovered when they found Earth, the current Alphans, I know this is confusing. They look at a radio map and they said, we found one, it's in California. Santa Maria can sustain life. So they all flee to Santa Maria and they encounter their alternate selves. Let's look at a clip of when that space warp happens at the beginning of this episode, titled Another Time, Another Place. I have a mint color print of that on 16mm film, and it's on Tubi TV and YouTube. But here's a weird shot of Prentis Hancock when that space warp phenomenon's going on. There it was, and that's actress Judy Geeson reacting to what's going on. And she was married, her character, to Alan Carter in the alternate universe. Anyway, I digress. Now here, I want to talk about this. I met Martin Landau on the set of Anna Nicole, the Anna Nicole Smith Story, a Lifetime movie. And I was playing a photographer. It was just like a featured background role, but it was a small role, small scene. And Martin Landau is there for a fitting. I didn't know he was going to be there. I knew he was starring in that. That's why I really wanted to get on that show in the hopes of being in a scene with him. But I got something even better. I had lunch with Martin Landau back in 2012, God rest his soul. And when I saw him, I'm sitting there, it's in between scenes. I'm in a chair just by myself, and a door opens in the hallway, and there's this light. And then there's Martin Landau. And being a fanboy of this guy, I wanted to meet him in 2000, Labor Day weekend. He canceled that appearance at that great convention. I'll never forget that convention. Grace Lee Whitney was there. The John Travolta's love interest in Saturday Night Fever, that actress was there. Gorney's her name. You had June Foray, one of the voice of Rocky and Bullwinkle. All sorts of people. Barry Morse, Trekkers. It was mainly a Space 1999 convention titled Main Mission. And Martin Landau was supposed to be there. Catherine Schell was there, who played Maya. Loved her. She signed like 70 items for free for me. And she said, this is not a slur. She goes, I need to smoke a fag. That's what they call cigarettes in England. I'll never forget it. And I said, you want one? Because I had, at the time I smoked. I quit smoking in September 2010, but I had a box of Marlboro Lights, sometimes Marlboro Reds when I smoked. But she goes, no, I have my own, thank you. She was smoking like a Capri type cigarette, like one of those female cigarettes, you know, the feminine cigarettes, I should say, that are really thin and long. Anyway. So Martin Landau. So when I saw him on the set of Anna Nicole, the Lifetime movie, and I'm in that chair and the door opens up and there's this light and there stands Martin Landau. I said, Commander Koenig, just like this scene. I got this from Paul Morrow and he looked at me, not like I was crazy. He smiled and he loved it and he dug it. And we wound up having that lunch together. And I said, you know, I have every episode of Space 1999 on 16mm film. Almost I'm collecting them. He goes, well, you know, they have them on Blu-ray now. And I said, I know, sir, I know, but I like film. That's just, it looks like a movie to me when on film, even if it's a bad color print, I don't care. It has killer sound. And I said, yes, sir, I have the Blu-rays too, and the DVDs and the VHS. I'm a Space 1999 freak. Anyway, he just couldn't have been nicer. He embraced that character. You know, some actors, it's so disheartening when an actor, like say a Tina Louise, doesn't want to be Ginger anymore. You know, she doesn't do the reunion movies anymore. She's not. Speaking of that, Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island. It's the last thing that Martin Landau and Barbara Bain, the stars of Space 1999, did together as a married acting couple. That terrible is the worst of the three. If you count, there were three, right? Rescue from Gilligan's Island, Castaways on Gilligan's Island, and the Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island. And I guess they just wanted to check because that plot, that story, or that writing was just horrible. Not that the original Gilligan's Island's writing was Shakespeare, but you know what I mean. So now I'm going to play the clip of Paul Morrow seeing Commander Koenig, who has been dead for 5 years, and his shock. This is a line I stole that I said to Martin Landau himself years later.
Carlo, Paul.
Commander Koenig.
That's exactly how I said it to Martin Landau. I copied it from that, the same, like, and I did it like, it sounded like I'm my own worst critic, but like I did the accent and he had to be there. I'll never forget it. All right. So now let's look at something else from that episode, Another Time, Another Place. Now this is important. I said earlier at the top of this remembrance of Prentis Hancock, the actor who played Paul Morrow in Space 1999 season 1. I talked about how the life support system of the fictional Moonbase Alpha is so delicately balanced, they can't permit any bursts. Well, on this future Earth in Santa Maria, they can't have kids because they're on a planet, a habitable planet. It's a habitable planet. Sorry, little Easter egg for Space 1999 fans there. Year 2, Saunderson, Seance Spectre. Anyway, we do meet some kids, the first kids, and they're 2 boys. And here's where Commander Koenig sees the first Alphan children.
Hello. Hi.
What frightened her? They've never seen a living ghost before. They don't understand.
I might run too. I love Martin Landau. He had kind of a strange grin, you know, that smile. I don't know. Let's watch a little more of the scene, just 13 seconds worth. And we learn who those kids are.
They look like fine kids. They are. Our finest achievement.
Whose are they?
Sandra's and Paul's.
Sandra's and Paul's. Paul Morrow, Prentis Hancock's character. All right. Now I want to play a blooper. Prentis is not in the scene, but this is a scene where an actor actually got punched. They didn't use stuntmen. There's a really cool character, Anton Phillips. He's Dr. Helena Russell's assistant. He's a medical doctor. And they're going to pull the plug. This is episode 7. Commander Koenig has been in an accident, an Eagle crash, and they think he's brain dead. And they're going to turn off his life support. And so in rushes his loyal buddy, Alan Carter, the pilot, ace pilot, ladies man. He's like, "You're not going to kill him." And the fight breaks out. And he actually punches, by mistake, Anton Phillips, the actor who plays Dr. Matthias, the assistant, Dr. Matthias. The actor is Anton Phillips. The character is Dr. Matthias. And you'll hear the punch. You'll hear like fist on jaw right here. 27-second clip. This is an actual blooper. It's in the episode itself. Episode title is Missing Link with Peter Cushing. A few years before he's Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars. And he got blown up on the Death Star. He should have taken that escape pod after all, or that escape ship.
Are you sure?
I have to.
Leave it alone, Dr. Russell.
Alan, you don't understand.
You're not going to kill him.
Carter, take it easy, Matthias. Take it easy, Carter.
Did you hear that was a real punch? And look at Nick Tate, poor Nick Tate's reaction. He's like, "Oh shit, I hit him." And you hear that, "Ooh." I don't want to play it again because copyright. I'm lucky to get away with these brief clips as it is, but I would play it. Well, hell, I'll play it again. Just listen to the punch and watch the reaction. That was real. I've read interviews with both actors telling that story. It's absolutely true.
Are you sure?
I have to.
Leave it alone, Dr. Russell.
Alan, you don't understand.
You're not going to kill him.
Carter, take it easy, Matthias. Take it easy, Carter.
Damn, that probably hurt. All right, now let's talk more about Prentis Hancock. Here he is basically high. This is the 8th episode, Guardian Puri, with Catherine Schell, pre-Maya, before she was Maya. She played an android, and she's the servant of the Guardian. You don't know she's an android, so spoiler alert, spoiler alert. She's just a gorgeous, half-naked woman, right? And she's wants the Alphans to come to their planet Piri to live, right? It's an automated AI world. That's what they don't know. And the machines make the humans lethargic and they can't feel pain. And it's kind of like the Star Trek This Side of Paradise with the spores. It's kind of like a take on that, you know? We're like, give me my pain. I need my pain. Commander Koenig says, you know, the hell with you. I need my pain. And the reveal at the end, when you realize that the servant and the guardian, played by Catherine Schell, beautiful British actress, that she's an android, Koenig takes his laser gun and shoots her in the face. And there's a cool sound effect. And he sees like these wires and he literally like starts pulling her face apart. And it looks like the robot in The Lonely Twilight Zone episode, second episode ever filmed back in 1959 after the pilot, with Jack Warden playing a criminal who's abandoned on an asteroid. Instead of prisons in that future world in the Twilight Zone, prisoners are put on asteroids all by themselves. But one guy who likes Jack Warden's character, a cop basically, who checks on him and brings him supplies every few months or years, brings a crate. And it's Alicia. It's a robot played by Jean Marsh. And at the end, shot in the face again. They kind of stole that from Twilight Zone, where the well-meaning guy, he realizes, oh my God, this guy's fallen in love with a machine and he's been pardoned. He's like, you can go home. You can go back to Earth. And he's like, no, I'm staying here with Alicia. And the cop in that Twilight Zone pulls out his gun and has to give him a hard reality check, shoots Alicia in the face. And the android looked a lot like the android in Guardian of Paris. So that was a long setup for this 14-second clip of Paul Morrow high as a kite from the influence of the Guardian, the AI machine. Let's watch.
Paul, I need your help. We're all so happy. The Parians, where are they? We're happy.
I should have pulled the clip where the robot gets shot in the face. The android, servant of the Guardian, played by Catherine Schell, but I don't want to spoil everything. You need to discover this show if you've not seen it. High production values. It was the most expensive show produced at that time. Most expensive science fiction series of all time. Then Battlestar Galactica came along back in 1978 after Star Wars was released. So now I want to explain something about this next clip. This is the 10th episode, Alpha Child. Well, I guess the condom broke or something. There was a birth in this episode, and they're not supposed to have children on Alpha, but accidents happen. And so a baby is born. And this was never explained. I don't know if there was a cut in the script, but Sandra, the girlfriend of Paul Morrow, is upset. You're going to see it in this clip about the birth of this baby. And I think it's because of that alternate universe in Another Time, Another Place with those two boys. Because at the end of that episode, people are starting to forget when the moons collide and normality happens. That's what Professor Bergman, played by Barrymore, said would happen. If those two moons collide, we're going to let it happen, because I think my theory is time will correct itself. And that's what happened in the episode. Well, after that happens, Dr. Russell, played by Barbara Bain, picks up some flowers she took from Santa Maria, California. And, she remembered. And I think she told Sandra, or reminded her, and obviously she saw it. No, I don't think she went to the planet. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. Let me just focus. My theory is fan fiction here, but that Dr. Russell said, in that other universe, you and Paul had the first children. Like maybe trying to play matchmaker or something. And so I think that's what this scene is about. This is the 10th episode in production order. Another Time, Another Place was number 6. Just watch her weird reaction, and Martin Landau as Commander Koenig's reaction to her reaction. It's just weird. Let's watch. 45-second clip.
A day to remember.
It's a boy. Mother and son doing just fine. 7 pounds, 11 ounces, dark hair, blue eyes. He's beautiful.
We made it.
I like that.
Boy, you know what? It'll be a boy. You better be a girl. Never. Yes, you did. Hey, Sandra, what's the matter?
I'm happy.
See, I think that's just a lost subplot, or it could be deep continuity. You know, I don't know. I choose to believe it's because she's like, but I'm supposed to have the first child, you know. Okay. Now let's look at the opening to my favorite episode. This was the best episode that showcased Prentis Hancock's acting. He had such range. He gets high on moon mushrooms in this episode and becomes kind of a villain. This is where aliens, they give the planet Ariel, gives the moon base with all these little mechanical doohickeys an atmosphere temporarily. And it's a ruse so that they won't come to their planet. They think that humanity is just like a virus, you know, and they couldn't take the risk, as they explained at the end of the episode. So they gave them what they wanted, a break, a spring break. And I always loved this episode as a kid because it shows like an atmosphere on the moon, and they're walking and having fun. And they finally got to have a good time for a change, because they're always on the defense, these Alphans, as they hurtle through space on the runaway moon, encountering hostile aliens. They never seem to get a break. You know, they always miss that planet, or they can't do their Operation Exodus, as they call it, to evacuate Moonbase Alpha and take their essential supplies to a new planet and evacuate. Something always goes wrong. But in that episode, for a time, they had a happy-go-lucky deal. And until there's an Eagle crash, and Paul and his girlfriend are on the Eagle along with Alan Carter and Dr. Helena Russell, and the communications are cut off. And it's like a Gilligan's Island episode of Space 1999. They're stranded right in their backyard, and the moon dust has totally covered the crashed Eagle. And Sandra got a concussion, and so she needs water, and water was contaminated upon impact when the Eagle crashed. So there's just a bucket of water. She needs water desperately. So Paul Morrow's character, or Paul Morrow rather, the character Paul Morrow, goes exploring the surface of the moon looking for water. And he finds these mushrooms, and they have water in them. He takes a big old dose, and at first it gives him sort of a lot of energy, and he builds a little shelter and all that. Then he realizes, or they realize, because they haven't tested it, that there's a hallucinogen effect, and he becomes psychotic. And you'll see, here is the opening. This is like Mission Impossible, where they show quick cuts. I love the way Space 1999 season 1 would show these quick cuts you're going to see right now of scenes from the upcoming episode, with this killer rock theme by Barry Gray. Really funky 1970s. But this is for the spring break episode, The Last Sunset, one of my favorite episodes. I watched it on film the other night to honor the actor Prentis Hancock, because his acting was so good in this episode, except he didn't have great chemistry with the love interest. The actress Zinnia Morton. I didn't think they had very good chemistry. I'll show that clip next, but check out the opening. Look at these quick cuts and dig that funky theme, white boy. There you go. I just love that. Now, after the moon gets an atmosphere in that episode, they've done tests. They realize, okay, there is enough air. We don't need to wear spacesuits, and they have like a little party and everything. And there's a rainstorm, and they play in the rain like kids. And it's just a really cool thing. Well, check out this little love scene. I think they're both talented actors, but either you have chemistry or you don't. And some have immense chemistry, and some, I just don't think they had good chemistry. And it's kind of like in Bewitched, when you had what I call the third Darren. You had Dick York as Darren, and you actually had Bill Mumy, Will Robinson in season 2 of Bewitched, played a 10-year-old Darren when Endora zapped Darren to be a 10-year-old again. The episode's called Junior Executive, season 2 of Bewitched, the last black and white season. And then you had Dick Sargent play Darren Stevens when Dick York, he had a lot of back problems due to an injury on the set, and he got addicted to opioids and pain pills. He's talked about it, and his son's talked about it. It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. He said so himself before he passed. I think he passed way back in 1992, Dick York did. But you had Dick Sargent come in, no chemistry with Liz Montgomery whatsoever. And I don't know if it's because, you know, in his personal life, he wasn't, you know, he was into the guys and not women. I don't know if that was it or not, but I just thought there's no chemistry. Just like this. Look at this clip. They're both talented, but I just think they have like zero chemistry. That's just my opinion. Here's from episode 11 in production order of Space 1999, season 1. Great episode, The Last Sunset. Check it out.
I am happy with anything that gets me out of Alpha.
It makes you look at things in a different light.
Sunlight?
No, more than that. If this is the end of one life, we have to start to build a new one. To live like human beings again.
Do you know which earthly sound I miss most in the silence of space?
Birdsong? In there, cooped up, there are thoughts we just can't allow ourselves to think.
We go into orbit.
We going to orbit. I don't know. I just didn't think there was much chemistry there. But I love that music. That's by Barry Gray, and that's recycled music from UFO I talked about a while ago. UFO, the episode, The Dalatek Affair. The Dalatek Affair. The Dalatek Affair. A little Easter egg for anyone that knows the show. Great episode. Man, I love Shadow, Supreme Headquarter Alien Defense Command. They have all these secrets, and they had, like, of course, like a drug that would cause amnesia. And Paul Foster, one of the studs of UFO, you know, he meets this girl. She learns the secrets, and she's an astronaut. So she's with NASA, but they have to administer the drug. And when they do, they play that music, and they have a kiss, and it's like so cool. Like they're spinning around, and there's like a psychedelic background. And so that was recycled music. I just love that little moment. I could cry thinking about it. It's just such a cool little scene, kissing scene. And they had great chemistry. Michael Billington played Paul Foster, but that's UFO, The Dalatek Affair. That's a great episode. So now I want to show the great acting of Prentis Hancock in this episode when he's in the psychotic state of the mushrooms, the space mushrooms, the moon mushrooms. And he's attacking Dr. Helena Russell. Here's the first card of the set by Donruss, 1976 card set. There's 66 cards. He's like, you would come between me. No, that's not how he sounded. He goes, you would come between me and my destiny. And he's choking her. She goes, oh, no. Let's watch this scene. It's a brutal scene. They should have made a card of it. Hang on. Like one of the Donruss cards. I made one for you. It should have been a card. Like, he just looks so evil there where he's choking her. They should have made a card of that shot. I thought they did. I was trying to find it for the longest preparing the show last night. I'm like, isn't there a card where he's doing the choke scene? But no, that's the first card of the set. All right, let's just watch the scene. Let's see. Here it is. Okay, bear with me. God, I got emotional there. I mean, I just thinking about that Dalatek affair, that kiss when they administer the drug, she's starting to forget everything. And God, it's kind of like, maybe that's where the Superman 2 Richard Lester kiss of forgetfulness comes from with Clark, that BS cop-out excuse of why Lois Lane doesn't remember that Clark's Superman at the end of Superman 2. He takes off his glasses and gives her a kiss. How could a kiss cause amnesia? So stupid. All right. I like the Richard Donner version where turning back time and she forgot. Okay. Here's the choke scene. Look at this acting by Prentis Hancock. Rest in peace.
You would come between me and my destiny. No one shall stop me. No one.
Oh, no. No.
Those are the little machines that gave them an atmosphere from the planet Ariel. He's tripping out. He really looked like he was on something in that scene. Now here, we'll look at the fight from that same episode. Commander Koenig saves the day. And a fight ensues between Paul Morrow, who's whacked out on space mushrooms in a psychotic state, with Commander John Koenig. And I remember this aired in 1986 on WVEU TV 69 here in Atlanta. And for a time, they had a live show during some of the commercial breaks. They had a dude who's a heavy metal rocker, looked like Howard Stern, with the long dark hair, the way Howard used to look, and a toy robot, the same robot I have somewhere here. It's a toy robot. It's remote controlled, and you can talk through it. And they'd critique the episodes, and they make jokes. It was Mystery Science Theater 3000 years before it existed on Comedy Central. It was the same type of show locally here in Atlanta. And they played a clip of this little push you're going to see here, where Martin Landau pushes Paul Morrow, and then the fight begins, and then this jackass, this local guy, he's actually pretty funny. He goes, look at that little puny push by Martin Landau. Couldn't he done better? Jeez. And I don't have that on tape. I wish I did. I used to have it on tape. I erased it. It was a funny little commentary. Watch the fight with the whacked out Paul Morrow on space mushrooms and Commander John Koenig, our hero.
Leave her alone! There's no time for us. I said leave her alone!
We have laid the foundation stone of mankind's future. Sandra and I.
Oh, whoa. I was cutting into the scene. I forgot I cut it there. So there you go. And you see the little push. All right, let's continue on with the next clip. This is a very subtle thing. I just like this line delivery by Prentis Hancock as Paul Morrow. This is episode 19. This is a cool episode, The Last Enemy, where there's a planet of women at war with a planet of men. And there's a sun in between them. So they can't launch weapons directly, or the sun will absorb their weapons and won't do any good. So along comes Moonbase Alpha, the runaway moon. And they realize, both planets, hey, this could be a launching platform for our weapons. So they get caught in the middle. And I just like this little line delivery by Prentis Hancock going, they've destroyed the Delton gunship. Direct hit. That's a terrible impression, but watch the man in action himself. Here it is.
They destroyed the Delton gunship. Direct hit.
But is it really destroyed? You see that face of Dione? Yeah, no, it was a ruse. I don't want to give away the episode, but they wanted you to think it was knocked out. Anyway, so I just like that little line delivery. Okay, the trivia question. Let me look at the chat. Take a break. We'll get to some more clips here. Let me go way back to the beginning. Let me see here. Oh, My Flock is Everywhere. Southern California Sarah says Space 1999 is epic AF. What does AF mean? Oh, as F-U-C-K. I got you. I agree. Hello to Joe Gutfeld in New York State. He's a big New York Mets fan. That's okay. I'm a Braves fan. We can coexist. Fixed sound. Okay, yeah, I left the echo on earlier. I realized that. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. You're so sweet at the beginning of the show. Hey, one of my power mods is here, along with Sarah. She's a power mod. Keebler, Danger, No Sugarcoating Truth says, hello, my brother. Pop-up live is cool. I can watch. Cool. And hello to Snarky in Arkansas State. Keebler's in the great state of Texas, by the way. Yes, it's all better. All better. I feel better. The technology's working better. I just rebooted the computer. Oh, it's so nice to see you lovely ladies in the chat. Thank you for popping in here. I know you probably don't give a flip. I know Sarah likes Space Night 10. I turned her on to the show. She loves it. She was a Trekker, though. Her and her daddy, God rest his soul, they watched Star Trek, the original Star Trek together. And I turned her on to Space 1999 about a year ago. Thanks to Shout Factory, the official YouTube channel of Space 1999 and other stuff. They do a lot of live streaming of classic episodes, but time compressed. But alas, it's better than nothing. Side shot, time for a haircut or change sides. I don't know what that means. I need a haircut. I'm growing my hair out for something. I'm going to cut it as soon as possible, but not till I know I can. Hello again, Chance in Chat. Says Esmeralda in Washington State. Hello to you. Thank you, Keebs, Power Mod. I need to do my shout out, and I'll probably forget to Remind Magazine, but that's later in the show. All right, let's see. And we're going to talk about Pippa Scott in a little bit, and I have some really cool Star Wars scenes that were cut from the movie I'm going to play. Some that I've not featured yet on my channel, the Nostalgic Podblast. Esmeralda said, I watched Space 1999 so long ago, I don't remember much of it. Yeah, you were probably having a good time then when you watched it, or you would remember. Black Hole, Black Sun. Wasn't that a Soundgarden tune? Yep. Black Sun. Now, Introspective Gentleman is back. Introspective said, Barbara Bain's real name is Mildred Fogel. She's still with us and 93 years old. Yes, she is. And she's hit the convention circuit of late. And she looks really, really good. Oh, my gosh. Like the fountain of youth. I can see why she changed her name, Esmeralda said. Yeah, and her agent had her change her name, I'm sure. Nice photo, Chance. Thanks. With Martin Landau, I bet you were talking about there. No cigarette talk. It's been 4 days. Okay, Keeb, sorry about that. Adapted by Richard Carpenter, Karen's brother. Karen Carpenter, God rest her soul. I don't think so. Oh, let's see. All right. Let me just scan through the chat really quickly. Thank you for the reminder, Sarah. Sarah said in Southern California, Space 1999, hate doors. They're always getting destroyed. Why? Yes, that's true. At least the Beta Cloud creature, the android, David Prowse, Darth Vader, he wrecked some doggone Moonbase Alpha doors in that year 2 episode. I guess we'll never know 20 is right. Oh, 20. Yeah, your guess was 20. How many episodes did Paul Morrow appear in, played by Prentis Hancock, of Space 1999? There's 48 total episodes. She guessed 20. That's not correct. Keep going. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to neglect the chat. Chance doesn't look at chat. It distracts him. No, I am now. I'm sorry. No. I get on a roll and I got to finish my thought or I'll forget. You know what I'm saying? He'll look at the chat and start a drinking game. I'm here to drink when he says Space 1999. Oh, you'd be wasted. Drink every time Chance says Space 1999. LOL, said Keebler. No, get to the beginning of the chat. Okay, I did. Yes, you're a good man. Well, thank you. You are a good lady. Let's see here. I like that explanation. Thanks, Esmeralda. Now I want to watch that Dalatic Affair UFO. I'm going to watch that on DVD later after I sign off tonight. I love that episode of UFO. And that kiss is so cool. I love that scene. All right, we're caught up with the chat. So now we can get back to the clips. And I'll just reveal the answer. How many episodes of Space 1999 was Prentis Hancock in as Paul Morrow? You would think 24, wouldn't you? Because there's 24 episodes in season 1 of the 48. And there's 24 in season 2, 48 total, 24 per season. The answer is 23. And when I met him, and I have this on camcorder, I should have pulled it for tonight's show, where you could hear it from his lips in the year 2000, 25 years ago. I asked Prentis, I said, there was an episode you didn't appear in. You had a replacement in the Infernal Machine. Why is that? And he said, I just had some minor surgery. I was recovering. No one's ever asked me that. And I never read it in print either. And I thought, why hasn't anyone asked that question? Well, here is the fake Paul Morrow. Different character. They didn't just put a new head on the same character. I hate that. In soap operas, they do that all the time, where they'll just recast an actor. And I'm like, no, where's the original Taylor? Like on Days of Our Lives, like back in 2012, they had this gorgeous girl playing a character named Taylor, and they replaced her with someone else who was also attractive. But I'm like, damn, I like the original Taylor. Anyway, so where is Paul Morrow in this episode, The Infernal Machine? It's one of the worst episodes, by the way, Space 1999. But let's watch this clip.
How is Paul, Commander?
He's not too bad. A couple of fractured ribs, broken ankle. Dr. Russell says he'll be out for a few days, but he'll be okay. Nothing serious. What is this? You think you can fill that chair for a while?
Yes, sir.
Separate the men from the boys.
I won't let you down, sir.
All right. Any problems, check with Carter. I'll be in my quarters. Good night, Commander.
Total beta male. I'm kidding. Anyway, yeah, so that was the guy they got the last minute to read Paul's lines, basically. Now, one cool thing about the character of Paul Morrow, his acting was very subdued. That's why I liked The Last Sunset, because he could really have a range of emotions and really go wild. He could fight, though. Watch this punch. This is one of my favorite episodes. Joan Collins is in it. It's called Mission of the Darians. And Daria is their planet. They're on a massive ship. It's like a mile long. And it's kind of like there was a nuclear holocaust on their ship where some of the Darians, who are like an elitist society, become mutated. And so they create a whole religion for these people of fake gods and stuff. And so they worship this guy, Neiman, who's just like a Darian. He's just like an old guy, you know, with a beard and gray hair. And they have like a data bank of DNA. They're trying to get to this planet. They're on a multi-generational, like the Galactica, right? Going through space, trying to get to a promised planet where they can start their society over again. And they start eating their own. They start eating the flesh of their own people. So let's look at this fight scene where they've captured one of the gods, thanks to the Alphans firing the laser at the dude when they're doing like a fake religious ceremony, and a fight breaks out and they shoot one of the gods, and it freaks these survivors who are like, you know, they've been eradicated their genes by nuclear energy. And let's just watch this. Watch the punch. The whole point of this clip is the punch of Paul Morrow. I mean, he fought Commander Koenig pretty good, right? Look at him fighting here to the good.
No.
Constant, you might hit her.
Let go. Thank you, Lowry. Oh, look out.
Kind of a mess up there, because you saw that Indiana Jones moment where he just got out of that room in the nick of time as it closed. Well, Dr. Russell should be right there in the story. They got separated somehow. It's like he's right there. He jumps. He's like, help me. I mean, that's an editing goof, you know. But I just love that episode. And so those are Darians, the elitists. There's like only a dozen of them or so. They're like really beautiful people, and they're like elitists, right? They weren't eradicated by the radiation, by the nuclear explosion many, many years ago. They're true Darians, as they call themselves. And so the dudes in the spacesuits, those are just Darians pretending to be gods. And I love how they shot the Alphans shot one, and it screwed up their whole scheme. Because they wound up unmasking him. Alan Carter's like, he's a man. This ain't a god. He's a man like me. He's a man like you. It's a good episode. Okay, let me tone it down. And I have a movie review, by the way, from our man in the seats, JT, who's going to review Ballerina coming up. Now I want to mention that Fred Freiberger, who was the executive producer of the last season of Star Trek, the last season of Wild Wild West, the last season of The $6 Million Man, and other shows, he also, unfortunately, was the executive producer of the last season of Space 1999. People bash year 2, but I love it because I love Maya. Well, he made a lot of changes when he came on board. They wanted to make the show more palatable to American TV viewing audiences. So he kept some of the year 1 cast and he cut others. Unfortunately, Prentis Hancock as Paul Morrow was cut. He did not appear in season 2. Alan Carter survived the axe there. Kano did not. He was like the Jamaican guy, Computer Whiz, his character. He got cut. Anton Phillips survived, but he left the show on his own as Dr. Matthias. He made the cut. Xenia Martin is Sandra, the love interest of Paul. She made the cut. She survived the The Purge. It's kind of like Facts of Life when they got rid of all them girls, you know, and brought in Joe. You know, it's one of those situations, right? He retooled the show. They had more monsters. They changed the set of Main Mission that you see behind me now. They made it underground. They called it Command Center instead of Main Mission. I like Command Center better, actually. Main Mission, it's like, what the hell is that? Why would they name like the heart of Moonbase Alpha Main Mission? Think about it. Before the blowout, like say it's a NASA installation. Why would you name it Main Mission? I just think that is dumb. I'm glad they changed that to Command Center. Space 1999 could have gone on for a lot longer had they just held on. ITC, Sir Lou Grade, the head of ITC, canceled the show right before Star Wars was released in theaters. It was canceled in early 1977. It was produced between 1973 and 1976 for worldwide syndication. Shot at Pinewood Studios, England, where the James Bond movies were filmed, where the Superman Christopher Reeve movies were filmed. A great studio, Pinewood Studios in England. And Space 1999 had great production value. They also changed the theme song. Barry Gray was replaced as the composer with Derek Wadsworth. And I like his music too. I like it all. I don't choose sides. A lot of Space 1999 fans bash year two, and it's like it's an either or situation. I like both. You know, I can appreciate both. I feel like the show evolved just like life. Things change, right? So it was like Star Wars. A lot of people, like I said, Brian Johnson, who did the special effects on 1999, went on to do Empire Strikes Back. Oh, geez, it's not showing up. Well, I'm disappearing now. You can't see him. I could do this. That's Brian Johnson on the right. There you go. And that moon is a model. They use a lot. Anyway, he went on to do Empire Strikes Back. He had done 2001: A Space Odyssey previously, which I think year one of Space 1999, the revered year one by these elitist fans, it had a lot of bad episodes. And I didn't like the costumes. I'm glad they changed the costumes. It looked like pajamas, right? Star Trek the Motion Picture sort of borrowed a lot of those designs by Rudy Gernrich. He's like a famous clothing designer. He designed those outfits for Space 1999, his uniform. So Fred Freiberger had him change it. And I like the changes. I like this. They gave the Commander Koenig this orange jacket, and he brought Maya into the, he obviously saw Guardian of Paris and saw Catherine Schell as the serving of the Guardian android and said, we got to hire her. We got to come up with something for her. She's hot. She's pretty. And he was right. So that worked. Let's see what we've not looked at yet, as I need to start talking about someone else real quick who just passed away. I want to mention, no, you know, I'll finish Space 1999. I'm almost done with Space 1999, and then we'll talk about other nostalgic stuff. Let me just make sure I've played all the clips. I want to show you some pictures now. Since I was talking a little bit about season 2, you had John Hugg join the cast as Frasier in the first episode, The Metamorph. There's an autograph from Xenia. She's deceased, unfortunately. Chance, best wishes. Met her in New York, Labor Day weekend in the year 2000. There's Catherine Schell, who joined the cast. I love that magazine article. I can't read it. It's in a foreign language, but I love those pictures. Look how pretty she looks there at the bottom in later years. I love it. That's the way she looked when I met her in 2000, and she couldn't have been nicer. There's another signed picture to me by Xenia Martin. I've already shown you these that Prentis signed for me. I want to talk about this lady, Jenny Cresswell. She is a very interesting character. This is going to segue into my Star Wars deleted scenes. She actually was introduced in Mission of the Darians, playing one of the radiation, like the third class Darians that they were feeding off of. She looked completely different. They had her in a nasty wig, but she joined in season 2 as an Alphan. And this actress's name was Jenny Cresswell. She was basically a featured extra, but they did upgrade her in the final episode of the Space 1999 series, episode 48, the Dorcons with a C, not D-O-R-K like me, but that's an alien race, D-O-R-C-O-N-S, Dorcons. And she got to, Maya transformed into her. And so she got to actually talk, you know, she moan and things. She had a good moan, just like one of my favorite moaners of all time, legit moaners, is Kim Cattrall from Porky's and in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. And that terrible mind meld is very disturbing when Spock mind melds with the Romulan played by Kim Cattrall. And she goes, oh, like he's tearing her mind apart or something. And then he's emotional. Spock, he's like, she does not know. He like probed her brain. So anyway, that's Jenny Cresswell. I love that wardrobe shot of her. And here she is getting to react. That's episode 47, Immunity Syndrome. Have it on 16mm film with mint color Australian imported print for my movie projector. And then there she is in the scene I talked about. That's when Maya is transformed into her to avoid the Dorkons who want to steal Maya's brainstem. She's the last living Psychon. And with these jerks, the Dorkons, they use the brainstem for immortality. If they have this transplant surgery, they can live forever. And so they want to steal Maya's brain and kill her. Well, all right. At this same time in 1976, when season 2 was in production of Space 1999, you also had Star Wars in production, and Jenny Cresswell played Han Solo's girlfriend in the cantina. There she is, but she was cut from the film. She was cut by Marsha Lucas. Marsha Lucas cut every female that was attractive because they didn't want Carrie Fisher to be overshadowed by another actress. And I'm going to show you a clip of another actress. Oh, by the way, also in season 1, here's pre-Ursa Sarah Douglas. Look at that. What is she smoking? She is smoking there. That's a terrible wig, though. But she went on a year later to play Ursa in the Richard Donner scenes for Superman 2 and Superman the movie. And that's in the episode A.B. Chrysalis from season 2 of Space 1999. Let's look at a clip of Jenny in Star Wars. And we're going to look at some cut scenes from Star Wars. I want to show you one here with a very eligible bachelorette. This lady was cut by Marsha Lucas, and she was going to play Princess Leia when Carrie Fisher had not decided if she was going to commit and sign the contract. They were going to have this actress play Princess Leia. So let's look at this little what if moment on Tatooine. This is shot in 1976, April 1976 for Star Wars.
Come on, shape it up, you guys. Kids! Hey! I didn't know you were back. What'd you get? Just now. Okay. I never expected you to be up working. Well, the academy didn't change you much.
Oh, I almost forgot. There's a battle going on right here in our system.
Not again. Forget it.
What's all the noise about?
You come back down here and play the game?
I think Wormy's caught too much sun.
There they are. Let me see.
That's no battle, hotshot. They're just sitting there. Probably a freighter tanker refueling.
But there was a lot of firing earlier. Hey!
I tell you, Luke, the rebellion's a long way from here. This planet, big hunk of nothing.
I doubt if the Emperor would even fight to save the system.
Hey, you watch it.
Don't worry about it, Wormy.
I was so close to that.
So, you know, at first she looks mean at the end, but remember, look at the top of that scene. Luke started it. He threw something at her and them, that couple that was sleeping, I guess. So she gave it right back to him by snatching his, what were those called? Not binoculars. There is a term, a Star Wars term for those binoculars. And it's in the back of my brain somewhere. I love those things. That's what you saw Luke looking through when the sand person attacked and threw C-3PO off of that rock. And he lost his arm. Anyway, I love those little, they're called something like I'll look it up. All right. So you could see how beautiful that actress was. And hang on a second here. I'll tell you her name. I got it right here. And now I'm going to show you Jenny Cresswell in the cantina on Han Solo's lap. And he shoos her away. They cut right to when you saw Han Solo in Star Wars. I think the first thing he said, "I'm a Han Solo." Right. And before that, he said, "Sweetheart, I got to do some business." And she's on his lap. I'll show you that scene in a second. But let me look this up because I know her name, but I want to make sure I say it properly. Let me look that up really quickly. So that actress from that lost Star Wars scene that was in the comic book, by the way. She's got a cool name. Koo Stark, like Tony Stark, but her first name is spelled Koo. Koo Stark as Cammy. Camie. That's her character name. Yep. And then her husband there was played by Tim Godfrey as Laze or Lazy. Laze is how you spell it. Is also known as Fixer. That's his nickname. And you had Garrick Hagon as Biggs, Dark Lighter, and of course Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. There you go. Now let's look at another Star Wars cutscene. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's 7 minutes, but this is from the work print, so it's in black and white. But just look at Jenny. I'll stop the clip after you see Jenny Cresswell with Han Solo reacting to Ben Kenobi cutting off the arm of that hostile alien at the bar that's roughing up Luke Skywalker. Let's watch.
Hey! We don't serve their kind here.
What?
Your droids, they left to wait outside. We don't want them here.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Listen, why don't you wait out by the speeder? We don't want any trouble.
I heartily agree with you, sir.
Yes, Joe, the audio cuts out here. Look at the space hookahs right there. What are they smoking? Can you hear me? Yeah, there's no audio. This is the work print, but the audio will come back. There's Jenny. Look how pretty. Oh my God. She should. I would have been so disappointed to be cut in Star Wars.
He doesn't like you.
Sorry.
I don't like you either. You just watch yourself. We're wanted men. I have the death sentence on 12 systems.
Be careful then.
You'll be dead.
This little one's not worth the effort. Come, let me get you something.
No blasters! No blasters! Ah!
Kissy, kissy. Different aliens that you didn't see in the final cut.
I'm all right.
Chewbacca here, his first mate on a ship that might suit us.
Hookah, hookah. No sound. It'll come back right now. I don't like the look of this.
I don't like the look of this.
Nice moves, old man. Very impressive. Sweetheart, I'm Han Solo, Captain of the Millennium Falcon. Chewie here.
There you have it. What was he feeding Chewbacca there? Like a Scooby snack or something? A Wookiee snack? That was interesting. Okay, so that's Jenny Cresswell from Space 1999. At the same time, you know, she got the day off from 1999 and went up the street to be Han Solo's girlfriend, but she was cut from the film. It's a real shame. All right, so I have another quick scene, and it's interesting to hear the actors' true voices, like the bartender in the cantina. You could hear the Cockney accent of the actor. You know, they dubbed him over to sound American. No fighting, no fighting. Oh, man. Let's see here. Where is that? I'll get to you, Pippa Scott. Don't you worry, dear. Rest in peace. Yeah, so that was Jenny. All right, I've shown this enough. I just thought she was really, really good looking on that show back then in 1976. Total 70s babe. All right, so interesting stuff. I never knew that. Thanks. That's what I'm here for. That's why I'm here. So what can we do here? The Star Wars scene. I was looking at my photos. Let's look at a couple more. Just two more. This is a very brief. I love the scene. This is on my channel. But there was a tops card number 7 of Darth Vader stalking the halls, and with an Imperial officer, the one who warned Grand Moff Tarkin, shouldn't I have your craft standing by? Evacuate in a moment of triumph? I think you overestimate their chances. What was the line? Should I have your craft standing by or ship? I think it was craft. I've seen Star Wars maybe 100 times, and I can't remember the line. Let's look at that actor. It's at least that survived the cut, right? That guy had a couple cool moments, including this cut scenes, 26 seconds long. And this actually was in the Star Wars holiday special before they went to a commercial break. That's where this audio is from of James Earl Jones voicing Darth Vader. They brought him into the booth, the audio booth, to record this for the Star Wars holiday special, to dub over Dave Prowse, the actor in the Darth Vader costume, who's a British bodybuilder, his voice. But let's watch this together. And later I'm going to play a clip where you hear David Prowse's voice in a scene. But let's look at this together. 26 seconds.
We've closed the spaceport of Mos Eisley and started a search operation. It's just a matter of time before we find the droids.
I want the rebels located and identified, if it means searching every household in the system.
Till then, we waste time with Governor Tarkin's foolish plan to break her.
It sounded like someone on the set saying, go, like to the people operating the androids. You know, they're going to round the shot. Make sure you get all the background in place. But that guy, I choose to believe that guy with Darth Vader got into Grand Moff Tarkin's spaceship and got off that Death Star. He survived because he knew something was going to go wrong. Speaking of that, here is a nice extended scene aboard the Death Star where you hear, it's 55 seconds long, the real voice of Darth Vader, the actor, Dave Prowse, who played a monster in Space 1999, the Beta Clyde, who played an android, while Star Wars was in production. Again, Dave Prowse wasn't needed, so he took a gig across the street at Pinewood Studios for Space 1999. But watch this and listen. This was revealed at a convention. You hear the reaction to Dave Prowse's voice of Darth Vader.
I tell you, he's gone too far. This Sith Lord sent by the Emperor will be our undoing. Until this battle station is fully operational, we are vulnerable. The Rebel Alliance is too well equipped. They're more dangerous than you realize.
Dangerous to your Starfleet, Commander, not to this battle station. The rebellion will continue only as long as those rebels have a sanctuary.
I think the construction of this station has more to do with Governor Tarkin's bid for recognition than any prudent military strategy. The rebellion will continue to maintain support in the Imperial Senate.
The Imperial Senate will no longer be of any concern to us. I've just received word that the Emperor has dissolved the Council permanently. The last remnants of the Old Republic have been swept away.
Oh no, I pulled the wrong clip. You didn't hear Darth Vader there. I'm going to get doggone it. I'm going to get it on the fly. I pulled the wrong clip. Oh no. What can I play while I need to stall? I really want to play that clip where you hear the people reacting to the true voice of Darth Vader. Let me see if I have a clip. Dad, blam it. Where's a good clip? Oh, man. Let me look at the chat. Man. But I love that. Yes, the first time they ever mentioned the Sith. That's right. And it would be on the Topps cards, the Sith Lord. I'm like, Sith, what is that? Those were on the 1977 Topps cards and the comic book Sith. but you never really heard it in the movie, right? Hang on a second. Oh man, I can't believe that I pulled the wrong clip. Hang on, I'm going to find it. I'm not going to stop the show. Just a sec. Here it is. Okay, give me a second, and I will transfer this and have it for you now. It's a badass scene, and it's from that. That's why I love conventions. I can say this. Let me say this. This is from someone obviously using either a camcorder, most likely a smartphone, to record that video from a convention. I love you're going to hear some laughter and some fun. That's the great thing about conventions, you know. Even going back to the 70s, the Star Trek blooper reels, that was first unveiled at a convention. That's for the cast and crew. That was for the Christmas party and the wrap party. Shows would have blooper reels. Dallas had them. Doesn't matter what show. Back then, Bionic Woman had them. I need to add some of those to my channel, by the way. Some of those bloopers are outrageous from the Bionic Woman. But it was never intended for the public, right? But some conventions would show them reel to reel, and it was a hell of a lot of fun when you got that sneak peek. So now technology's caught up where a lot of those exclusives, like at that main mission convention I went to for Space 1999, they shot with Xenia Martin a message from Moonbase Alpha, and it was very emotional. It was a new scene with her, with music and everything, and it sort of was like the end of Space 1999, and that was a convention thing. Okay, so yeah, bloopers are fantastic there, Sarah. All right, let me now upload that clip, and you got to hear the true voice of Darth Vader, meaning the actor in the helmet, in the costume, and the getup, David Prowse. They did the right thing by replacing his voice. They really did. Okay, it's coming right up, folks. Sorry about that distraction. Just processing. Yes. I showed you the short version. Now, you're going to see 55 seconds of what we just saw. Bear with me, but this is a killer scene. It's extended dialogue on that Death Star boardroom scene. Any day now. Okay, here it is. Let's watch it.
I tell you, he's gone too far. This Sith Lord sent by the Emperor will be our undoing. Until this battle station is fully operational, we are vulnerable. The Rebel Alliance is too well equipped. They're more dangerous than you realize.
Dangerous to your Starfleet, Commander, not to this battle station. The rebellion will continue only as long as those rebels have a sanctuary.
I think the construction of this station has more to do with Governor Tarkin's bid for recognition than any prudent military strategy. The rebellion will continue to maintain support in the Imperial Senate.
The Imperial Senate will no longer be of any concern to us. I've just received word that the Emperor has dissolved the Council permanently. The last remnants of the Old Republic have been swept away.
Impossible. How will the Emperor maintain control of the bureaucracy?
The regional governors will now have direct control over their territories. Fear will keep the local systems in line. Fear of this battle station.
And what of the rebellion? If the rebels have obtained a complete technical readout of this station, it is possible, however unlikely, they may find a weakness and exploit it.
The technical information you refer to will soon be back in our hands.
Any attack made by the rebels against this station would be a useless gesture, no matter what technical data they've obtained. This battle station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've created. The ability to destroy a planet, indeed a whole system, is insignificant compared with the cosmic force.
Don't try to frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader. Your sad devotion to that ancient religion has not helped you conjure up the stolen data tapes, or given you clairvoyance enough to find the rebels.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Enough of this! Vader, bickering is pointless. Lord Vader will provide us with the location of the rebel fortress by the time this battle station is operational. We will then crush the rebellion with one swift,
stroke.
Cut, print it. I love that. Isn't that cool? I think it's so interesting. I love the reaction too, to the true voice of Darth Vader. All right. So let's see what other, I do have, let's talk about something different. I like to do my fake rant of the week. Let's do it right now.
You want to fight? I'll give you a fight. Come on, punk. Come on. You want some more?
You want some more? That's from The Hulk Breaks Las Vegas, season 1 of The Incredible Hulk. In case you were wondering, I play that at the top of my fake rant of the week. Now, this ties in. This is an update to the last time I had a fake rant of the week. It's about this. This crap has not been hip since 1986, and I'm seeing it everywhere. Well, I've got an update. Just the other day, 2 days ago, I saw this. This is kind of funny. In Cobb County, look, I think it's a baby on board. I'm like, I'm going to take a picture to prove my point. Let's get a little closer. What does that say? What does that say? It says, baby up in this bitch. That's very creative. I love that. I absolutely love that. Bravo. You win. You win. That was my on the road image of the week. I thought that just made me laugh out loud. I love that. Baby up in this bitch instead of baby on board. So yeah, that was off Powers Ferry Road in Marietta, Georgia in June of 2025 when I spotted that. Thought it was funny. Another quick question now. Who wore it? I've been asking this in a poll in the Nostalgic Podblast YouTube channel in the posts section of my channel. Who wore the wig better? No, let me do that right. Who wore the wig better? Khan or Kirk? Most people voted for Ricardo Montalban. His chest is real, though. I always thought that might have been prosthetics growing up, but I had been schooled. They said, nope, he worked out. That is Ricardo Montalban's real chest, because I thought that necklace was hiding some sort of prosthetic line. But no, all the experts say it's true. So who wore the wig better, Kirk or Khan? Let me know in the chat, because they're both wearing wigs. Everyone knows Shatner wears a hairpiece and has for some time. I think that's one of his better hair pieces right there. The Wrath of Khan toupee, I think, is the best. His worst was Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I mean, you could see from the back, and it was a terrible wig that he wore in that movie. All right, so there's that. And we've got to talk about the loss of this actress really quickly. This was breaking news today as we're live in June of 2025 that Pippa Scott has died. And there's a pop-up, so I can't even read the article from Variety. I can show you some pictures. I can tell you all about her. I thought she did more acting than she actually did. All right, let me look at the Hollywood Reporter. Hollywood Reporter. Pippa Scott, actress in The Searchers and Auntie Mammy, dies at age 90. On television, she starred with Jack Warden. Talked about him earlier in Twilight Zone: The Lonely. She starred with him in Jigsaw John and had memorable guest spots on The Twilight Zone and The Dick Van Dyke Show and The Virginian. I wish they mentioned The Virginian. She was awesome in The Virginian. 90-minute Western on NBC. But Pippa Scott, who played one of the abducted daughters alongside Natalie Wood in John Ford's The Searchers, and the secretary of Rosalind Russell's title character in Auntie Mammy, has died. She was 90. Pippa Scott died peacefully May 22nd, 2025, of heart failure at her home in Santa Monica, California. Her daughter, Miranda Tolman, told The Hollywood Reporter. Pippa Scott's film resume also included Gower Champion's My Six Loves from 1963, Richard Lester's Petulia in 1968. Now, Richard Lester, talked about him earlier. He's the director of Superman 2, who replaced Richard Donner. He directed Superman 3, and he directed the Beatles' early films, A Hard Day's Night, for instance. But Richard Lester in 68 directed Pippa Scott, actually in 67, released in 68. The actual shoot was in 67, Petulia. She also was in Norman Lear's Cold Turkey, released in 1971. Have you seen that movie, Cold Turkey? And she was in Michael Lindsay Hogg's The Sound of Murder, released in 1982. On television, the redhead portrayed the wife of Broadway actor Brian Ahern. That's his name, folks. Transported back in time in the 1960 Twilight Zone episode titled The Trouble with Templeton. She was the wife of a rabbi, helping Maury Amsterdam's character with his very belated bar mitzvah on the 1966 Dick Van Dyke Show installment titled Buddy Sorrell, Man and Boy. And she played a nursery school teacher and love interest of Jack Warden's detective on the 1976 NBC drama Jigsaw John that I mentioned earlier. Pippa Scott's career got off to a rousing start. See, they wrote this. They need an editor. Let me read you verbatim what this article says on Hollywood Reporter. Listen to this sentence. Scott's career got off to a rousing start. With she portrayed instead of when she portrayed. It says with she portrayed. Take two. Scott's career got off to a rousing start. With she portrayed the ill-fated Lucy Edwards. Okay, now I'm going to do it for real and just replace the incorrect word there. Pippa Scott's career got off to a rousing start when she portrayed the ill-fated Lucy Edwards, older sister of Woods's Debbie Edwards, in the John Wayne starring The Searchers 1956 movie, and in Auntie Mammy. She starred as a woman who winds up falling for Roger Smith's Patrick Dennis. Pippa Scott was born in Los Angeles on November 10th, 1934. Her mother was stage actress Laura Straub, and her father was Alan Scott, the Oscar-nominated screenwriter behind the Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers musicals Top Hat, released in 1935, and Swing Time, released in 1936. Pippa Scott's uncle was writer-producer Adrian Scott, and he was blacklisted during the McCarthy era as one of the Hollywood 10. She would appear in a 1964 film written by him titled The Confession. Educated at Radcliffe and UCLA and trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London. It said art, singular. It's arts, I know for a fact. Let me read this again. I just got to point out these mistakes on major websites. Whatever happened to the editor? Take two. Educated at Radcliffe and UCLA and trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London, Scott made her Broadway debut in 1956 in Jed Harris's Child of Fortune. And in 1958, she starred as a teacher who was kidnapped in As Young as We Are. Pippa Scott guest starred on lots of TV shows with appearances on Mr. Lucky. I love that show. The Virginian. Good, they mentioned The Virginian after all. Maverick, Thriller. I love Thriller. Boris Karloff's Thriller, 1-hour horror anthology show. She was in Have Gun Will Travel, Dr. Kildare, The Fugitive, Wagon Train, Ben Casey, Perry Mason. It said Wagon Train again. They wrote Wagon Train twice in the Hollywood Reporter article. Oh, man, that's 3 mistakes in this article. They just whipped it together so quickly when they heard she passed away. She was in F Troop, a show I never got into. I Spy, starring The Cause. Don't eat the pudding, folks. She was in Family Affair, the Don Feddersen Family Affair. Don Feddersen of My Three Sons. Medical Center, Gunsmoke, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Mission Impossible, Barnaby Jones, one of my favorite QM Quinn Martin productions. Columbo, the awesome Columbo. She was in The Waltons, Ironside, The Streets of San Francisco, a QM production. She was in Mannix and Remington Steele with future James Bond, Pierce Brosnan. On stage, she appeared in the New York Company of 1959's Look Back in Anger and in 1984's Isn't It Romantic, and collaborated with John Houseman. He earned it. Who was the leader of the Fembots? I talked about that a lot. John Houseman in the 1973 production at UCLA of Three Sisters in preparation for the start of the Center Theater Group. In 1964, Pippa Scott married Lee Rich, producer and founding partner of Laura Moore Productions, one of my favorite studios. They did Dallas, My Three Sons. Yes, Lorimor Productions was the company behind such acclaimed shows as The Waltons, Dallas, Falcon Crest, Knots Landing, 8 is Enough, and The Blue Knight, and Family Matters with Urkel, by the way. Now, they divorced in 1983, but they reconnected in 1996 and remained together until his death in 2012. As a child whose family experienced the consequences of persecution, Pippa Scott in 1993 founded the International Monitor Institute, a nonprofit organization that gathered evidence to assist the prosecution of war crimes in the Balkans, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, Congo, Cambodia, and Iraq, and the systemic use of rape and child soldiers in genocide. The work of IMI continues to assist war crime prosecution to this day through the Human Rights Department at Duke University. Pippa Scott also founded Linden Productions to further illuminate human rights violations, and her work includes projects commissioned by the United Nations, the Human Rights Watch, and the International Rescue Committee. In 1998, Pippa Scott produced for PBS's Frontline the documentary titled The World's Most Wanted Man about the hunt for Bosnian Serb leader Radovan Karadzic. I'll just spell it. His last name is spelled K-A-R-A-D-Z-I-C. And in 2006, oh shoot, I had a phone call. Who's calling me? Oh, Al Hardy's calling me. Al, I'm live, brother. You ought to know that. You were watching earlier. Oh, might be a problem, huh? Okay. In 2006, Pippa Scott produced another documentary, King Leopold's Ghost, about the exploitation of the Congo by the King of Belgium. After 2 decades behind the camera, she made her last acting appearance in the indie feature Footprints in 2009. Survivors of Pippa Scott include her daughters, Miranda and Jessica, and 5 grandchildren. Rest in peace to Pippa Scott. Now let's look at some pictures of Pippa Scott. Brother. Hang on a second. I got a phone call. The Nostalgic Podblast. Hello?
What are you doing?
I'm live.
Oh.
Hey, Al Hardy. You're on the air.
I didn't know you were live. I called to see what was going on with your previous stream.
Oh, I had all sorts of technical problems, so I rebooted and everything's fine now, sir.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've been on almost 2 hours. You're being recorded. I'm just so you understand.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't watching. I'll go back and watch. I've been watching the LA riots on TV.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that. Yeah, the National Guard was called. Yeah, okay. I don't want to date the show, but yeah, pretty crazy. I need to watch. I haven't watched the news all weekend. I don't know what's going on, but I'm aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't like any kind of civil unrest, especially not in the country. Sucks.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, I'll call you when I get off the air. Well, it's 9:30. You gonna be up for a little bit?
I'll be up for a little while.
Okay, man. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
He was calling to tell me how rotten my stream was. I know. It was watery. I couldn't press the buttons. Nothing was working when I was live earlier today. I left it up, though, because there were a lot of cool comments from, like, BK on the air, Barry King. He might have moved on. He's a busy guy, and he's happily married, so he's got a lot going on. He put this phone away. Oh, geez, don't fall. Don't fall. Nice to hear from Al Hardy, one of the founding fathers of the Nostalgic Podblast. So anyway, here is Pippa Scott in the Virginian. There she is in the Twilight Zone. I talked about all this a moment ago. There she is in the Virginian with James Drury in the episode The Executioners. And here she is in the season 1 fugitive episode, The Garden House. So Pippa Scott, rest in peace. She was a classy lady. I thought she'd passed away some time ago, but I'm glad that she survived a lot longer. Okay, cool. So I'm just scanning some pictures here. I'm so excited about the Fantastic Four movie and the new Superman movie. It's almost July 2025. I'm a geek, and I'm a comic book nerd. These are comic books that you can't see behind me because I'm on Moonbase Alpha and main mission at the moment. But yeah, the Fantastic Four movie is looking really good. And just within a couple of weeks of each other, those are going to be just massive blockbusters, I predict. And James Gunn, I trust. I think he's going to nail Superman, Clark Kent, and Lois Lane and all the others. And I love they brought back Eve Tessmacher, but of course she was in Superman Returns, sort of. Wasn't Parky Posey playing her in Superman Returns? But she, of course, originally was in Richard Donner's Superman the movie and Superman 2, but they shot all of her scenes in 1977 when Richard Donner directed most of Superman 2 at the same time he was shooting Superman the movie. And that was Valerie Perrine. Now, I'm going to tell you something about a lady friend of mine, Samantha. She came up with a great take on Miss Tessmacher. Miss Tessmacher! Late, great Gene Hackman. Terrible impression. Not trying to do an impression. I'm just explaining, remember, just for nostalgia's sake, the Miss Tessmacher. I wonder if that's going to be in the new movie. But there's great little posters that were released for the new Superman movie. And they're like little vignettes or whatever of the characters. They look like little Topps cards. And there's one of Miss Tessmacher taking a selfie. I thought that was Supergirl at first. No, it's Miss Tessmacher. So Samantha, she came up with something I thought was pretty clever. She used to try. She could be my best friend or my worst enemy. And sometimes she'd go to Superman Cinema, a message board, as evil Tessmacher. I love that. Evil Tessmacher. EVIL, like evil, good and evil. Evil Tessmacher. That was her alter ego to terrorize me on message boards when she thought I wasn't paying enough attention to her. And she'd come on there. I thought that was kind of damn clever. Then at first, I don't think it was nefarious, but eventually, yeah, she turned that into a harassment thing. But yeah, it was evil Tessmacher. I loved it. That was very creative. Okay, so we've gone almost 2 hours. That new Superman movie, I can't wait to hear the music. And again, for those who turned in late, there's Ursa from Superman the movie and Superman 2 and V, The Final Battle. Sarah Douglas. She was in The People That Time Forgot in 1977, and there she is in the 1976 filmed episode A.B. Chrysalis. Talked about it earlier, but look at that. There's supposed to be chlorine gas around her, but it looks like she's smoking out or something. Looks like she's at the Quick Trip I was at where it just reeked of weed earlier today. So, all right. I think I covered just about everything. The loss of Pippa Scott. I think we did a nice tribute to Prentis Hancock. Next time, we're going to talk about the women of Star Trek and do some 1970s trivia, Mr. Joe Gutfeld for prizes. And we will continue our season 1 wrap up of the women of Star Trek. I might even, if there's time, start season 2 because there's quite a few starlets of Star Trek, as I call them, in season 2 as well, like Marlena Moreau, the captain's woman from Mirror Mirror. And that's Barbara Luna. And she was still is. I met her in Burbank, California in 2007. The nicest lady. She was, of course, Hawk's woman in Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, the 2-hour season 2 premiere of that program. But Barbara Luna, she was in an Invaders episode, season 1. She was in Storm, a great episode where the aliens can create hurricanes with these crazy devices they have. It was really a scary episode. It took place in the Florida Keys. And she played an alien in that. Just really good actress, really good look, just so beautiful. All right, so we'll get back to that since Joe Gutfeld recommended it. I'm going to try to do Friday night. I've been so busy working gigs and things that I've not been home on Friday, so I don't want to abandon the audience. That's the audience of the Nostalgic Podblast. Danny Cochran, friend of the show's wife, came up with that. I got to give credit where credit's due. I think it's clever. Not potty, like Mr. Williams, Basil Chesterman, thought it was potty like P-O-T-T-Y, like a toilet. I said, no, it's potty, like a podcast. The audience is listening. I thought that was clever that Carrie Cochran, Daniel Cochran's wife, came up with. Danny, as I call him. So, yeah, I'm just going to make sure I showed everything. I did, all these cards, because I get confused. What did I show in version 1 where the stream was effed up? And this one. Yeah, there's the death scene and of Prentis Hancock's character in an alternate reality and matter of life and death. So I recommend you check out Space 1999, kiddos, if you've not seen it. I also recommend UFO, the precursor to Space 1999, takes place on Earth. Great show starring Ed Bishop as Ed Straker. Just a tortured soul. If you see the origin, like he loses his son, he loses his wife, he loses almost everything except Shadow. And he's a terribly tragic character, a great hero. And there's immense tragedy amongst great heroes. That's for sure. And that surely was the case with UFO. 26 episodes. Look them up on YouTube. They were on there. Hopefully they still are. And I wish Shout Factory, there's a Beatles song, original Beatles song in one of the episodes. Get Back. One of the last Beatles singles is in the soundtrack of UFO, and it made it on the DVD. The real version. It's a party scene. So maybe that's the reason it can't go on YouTube. I don't know why Shout hasn't done anything with UFO, because they own the rights to it and they distribute the show on physical media. Rest in peace again to Prentis Hancock. Appreciate everybody being here. Quick sweep of the chat before I sign off. Let's see. Joe Gutfeld. Chewie should have beaten up Han for the fuzzball remark. Oh, yeah, and The Empire Strikes Back. Laugh it up, fuzzball. Chewie's not like that. They're best bros. Interesting stuff. Never knew that. Ship. Okay. Should I have your ship standing by? That's right. That's the line in Star Wars. Evacuate in a moment of triumph. I think you overestimate their chances. Yeah. It was ship in the line. Thank you. I thought so. Should I have your ship standing by? Yeah. Not your craft or your saucer. I knew it wouldn't be that. Saucer. You'd remember flying saucer. I learned yesterday from someone that Lucas actually copyrighted the term droid. He came up with droid. He cut android in half. I learned this from a guy who's a writer. And I said, you should start a podcast because you're a great talker. Far greater than I. And he's a little bit younger than me, and he knows all about Star Wars. And I thought that was a fun fact. I mean, I should like fact check it, but I'll take him at his word. He said that Lucas came up with droid, and like here's what he said: T-Mobile had to pay Lucas millions, like at least $1 million for use of the term droid for their product or something in their coding or something like that. I thought that was an interesting fact. I can't remember hearing droid before Star Wars. I think that's true. So yeah, bloopers are fantastic. Sarah, I love you, Sarah. You're so nice. You're always so good to the Podblast and me. Fun show, gotta run. Thank you, Chance to Chat. Yeah, I'm winding it up. That's the thing. When I haven't done a show in a while, it's like I can't stop. Cut! Wear the wig better. That's your vote. All right, introspective gentlemen. I agree. I thought that was a really good looking wig. Much better than the one in Space Seed, the episode that introduced Khan in season 1 of the classic Star Trek. That didn't look right. That didn't look right, man. Superman 3 was horrible, but it had its moments. I will say, I love the Clark Kent, Lana Lang romance. I think I've never liked Lois Lane. She just wants to trap Superman's power. She's in it for herself. She's not a team player, Lois Lane. She's out for glory. She's out for fame. She's out for recognition. She can't spell. I just don't like her. I think I won't go so far as to say in Superman the movie, he should have let her splat when she fell out of the helicopter. That's a bit psychotic to say that. Won't go that far. But I think Lana Lang was a much better fit because she loved Clark Kent for who he was. And I love that they explored that in the high school reunion scenes. She was everything but selfish. She was selfless. And she had to support her child, Ricky, single mom. Really great character. Annette O'Toole was just lovely in that. So I'll give that. And I love the scene in the bowling alley with Clark destroying the pins, showing up Brad, the drunk. And I did like that. And of course, I love the junkyard battle. I love the evil Superman shtick, with the Olympics blowing out the torch, fixing the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I love that. I love the Vera robot. But yeah, I mean, that stupid slapstick opening was terrible. There was actually an opening that was in the extended TV version with the Starfield, where it shows the typical opening with the lettering. And my favorite titles were at the end of Superman 3. They were like 3-dimensional. And that Ken Thorne reorchestration of the John Williams Superman theme really sounded pretty tight in Superman 3. And I did like a song by Shaka Khan, by Giorgio Moroder from Flashdance, Oh, What a Feeling. He did a song that Shaka Khan sang, and you hear it when I almost said Lex Luthor, when Gus Gorman drives up in his Ferrari after his half-cent scam. I like that too, and they use that in the Office comedy movie. I love the half-cent scheme that August Gorman came up with, shaving half cents off of everyone's paycheck and putting it into a special account. I thought that was pretty damn clever, man. That was like a crypto kind of scam or something. I loved it. So No See, No Cry was the song by Shaka Khan and Giorgio Moroder. Not a bad song. And she's been touring Shaka Khan. I wonder if she ever sings that song, because I like it. I like that song. I like the melody of it. It's a lot of synthesizer, but I like it. That article is written by a dyslexic AI. Yeah, I know there were so many grammatical errors in that Hollywood Reporter article about the passing of Pippa Scott at age 90. John Houseman was amazing in The Paper Chase. Yes, he was. He's a true actor, Shakespearean. I liked him in the movie and the TV show. And Lindsay Wagner was in the Paper Chase movie, one of her first movies. And but to me, he'll always be Dr. Carl Franklin of the OSI, disgraced genius at the Office of Scientific Intelligence, the OSI, the fictional government agency in the $6 Million Man Bionic Woman universe. He was a deeply troubled, disturbed genius scientist, and he was hell-bent on revenge. And my God, I don't know why Jamie Summers was so nice to him at the conclusion of that 3-part crossover. She's like, you've really done some amazing things. He tried to kill you many times. I mean, like, it was really evil what Dr. Franklin did. I mean, he tried to take Jamie Summers out a couple times with his fembots. And I always thought that was a cool backstory. See, I need to find that image. Let me put this image on the screen of a fembot. I have it right here. I'm going to show you something and tell you, I'm going to do a damn podblast on fembots, and I'm going to cover the Austin Powers fembots. It's just going to be everything fembots. It's in my plans, folks. Let me find really quickly this picture of this fembot, because there's a backstory I'd love to write, like a prequel about the creation of the fembots in the $6 Million Man universe. I think I have a story in mind. It won't go anywhere. I'll never get a break, but it would really be cool. I want to tell you. And that, no hubris intended. I really think I have a great story. I won't give too much away, but let me show you a fembot. Let me go to pics. Yep, here it is. So here's part of my backstory. This is the main fembot. And when she's destroyed on the dam by lightning, Dr. Franklin emits a lot of pain. He's like, no, Katie, get off the dam. This is the Katie fembot. This is the first fembot that you saw. This is called Kill Oscar. Bionic Woman episode. Part 2 was Halloween 1976 episode of the $6 Million Man, which was a Sunday night. And then the conclusion was back on the Bionic Woman on the following Wednesday after Halloween. So this was the Katie fembot. And I think this might have been Dr. Franklin's ex-wife or wife or daughter. I choose to believe wife, because of course he made her young, made her look younger, like her younger appearance. I'm not an ageist. I'm just saying, I mean, like probably the way she looked when he fell in love with her. And she was the prototype. And there's never an explanation of who is Katie, because every other fembot was based on a real person, a real secretary at the OSI. So who was this Katie? I have a whole backstory on that, and which led to him getting fired by the OSI and his experimentation with robotics. And I wish I could sell my story. Maybe they'll make finally a $6 Million Man movie, make it the $6 Billion Man. You know, there were rumors that it was going to be Mark Wahlberg playing. I hope it's not. Oh, please don't put Barbie Boy as a $6 Million Man, please. He was crying as Colt Seavers. Oh man, I couldn't believe that Fall Guy movie, but that's another story. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Barbie Boy. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Out Hardy's in the house. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Let me just get to some comments. Original Trek is my all-time favorite. Mine too. You know, you can't beat Captain Kirk. Next Generation borrowed a lot from Space 1999, by the way. There's a whole book, John Muir's book from the year 2000, that explores that. But even without that book, anyone that knows Space 1999 and Star Trek Next Generation can see the several, even the damn Borg, resistance is futile. That was a line from the last episode of Space 1999. I've played it, Council Verda. So kept saying repeatedly in that episode, resistance is futile. We're going to take that Psychon. We're going to take her brainstem. We're going to make the Archon immortal, and Maya is doomed. Your Psychon will destroy Alpha until we get her. Anyway. That's the final episode. Joe Gutfeld said the night before the Wrath of Khan, came out, they aired a special with Leonard Nimoy, Star Trek Memories, and the Space Seed episode after that. I remember that, and the Sci-Fi Channel repeated that years ago. Not there, Sci-Fi Channel came along in September 1992, for those who don't know. So it was sometime in the early 1990s they re-aired that stuff. Keebler Power Mod says, I'm watching Dead City doing my IV treatment. Well, God bless you, listening to Chance and trying to set up a playlist live from my channel. LOL. Well, I hope your health improves. You serve this country. You are a veteran. So I salute you for your service, Keebler, in Texas. Joe Gutfeld said, the day the movie came out, talking about Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, the day the movie came out, the same day my dad graduated from New York University with his associate's degree. We had to wait till the weekend to see the movie. I bet you couldn't wait, man. Most people think The Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie. I can see why. It'd be hard to debate that. My favorite is the original Star Wars. Always will be, because it's a one and done movie. If they never made another sequel, it would stand alone. The cliffhanger of Han Solo being frozen was incredible, but it sucked to wait 3 years as a kid to get the resolution to that cliffhanger. It took so long for those movies. It was 3 years in between each installment back then. But to the point of everyone saying Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars, everyone thinks Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan is the best of the original cast Star Trek movies. I totally see that. But for me, just from my point of view, I like Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. That's when I fell in love with Star Trek. It was because of that movie. I'd seen it as a kid and I liked it, but I wasn't crazy about Star Trek till I saw that time travel story. And of course, Khan's my second favorite, and then The Undiscovered Country, and then Search for Spock, and go on down the line. With, of course, the one Shatner directed being my least favorite. I just thought it's not all Shatner's fault. I just think the row your boat was hokey as hell. That bit. I like what they tried to do, but they used Van der Veer special effects, and they were from the 1960s. And by 1989 and 88, when post-production was being done, they were pretty dated. They should have gone with like Lucasfilm or something. I mean, some of the effects weren't right. The shuttlecraft thing, I thought the romance between Scotty and Uhura was terribly awkward. It was always Sulu that had the hots for Uhura in the old show. The longing looks, even in the alternate universe, he hits on her, the evil Sulu. What happened to that? Why would you? That was such bad writing. I need to look up, but I do like Cybuck. I like, that was to the good. I got to be positive. I don't want to be all negative. I wish they had used him again. I thought that was a cool character, and that actor, he is great. Lawrence Lucking Bill or something. He's a fantastic actor. You look at his Barnaby Jones episode. I could not believe what a great actor he was in that Barnaby Jones. Introspective Gentleman said, I made a Fembot head when I was 12 years old. Do you have a picture of it? I'd love to see that. I'm a huge Fembot fan. And by the way, I have never, ever seen, I've been to a lot of conventions, a Fembot cosplay. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. Probably at San Diego Comic-Con or one of the bigger cons like that, or maybe even Dragon Con here in Atlanta. But I bet it would be terribly hot and uncomfortable and hard to breathe. That's probably why it's not happened. But I saw a really creative cosplay of the Phantom Zone villains, of 3 people inside a Phantom Zone, like the sheet of glass, this cosmic mirror that Jor-El created, the Phantom Zone, an eternal living death. But I've never seen a Fembot. It's like a shoe-in. I meant to save that for my Fembot show, but I better take this Fembot. They scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. Those eyeballs, I had nightmares for years over the Fembots. I also like Star Trek 4 as well. Yes, I love the comedy. Eek, says Danny State in South Carolina. Hello, all. Nice to see you. Joe Gutfeld said originally, yes, I know this. Eddie Murphy was supposed to be in Star Trek 4, but his character was rewritten as a woman character. Yes, well, he was doing The Golden Child for Paramount Studios, and of course, Star Trek is a Paramount property. So he was still making money with Paramount and still in the Paramount family. But yes, that is absolutely. And there was more Sulu scenes too, because he was born in San Francisco. That was where he grew up. San Francisco and the future Earth of the 23rd century. God, I almost screwed up. I'm thinking of Buck Rogers, the 23rd century. Let me take this Fembot image off. There. Hey, everybody. So I got to save a lot of my anecdotes about Fembots for the Fembot show. That was one thing I put in my notes, is there's not been a cosplay that I'm aware of. If you have a picture of a Fembot, if someone that should have been, I think that one of the coolest cosplays I ever saw was the V guys. That was years ago, like at Dragon Con 2007 or something. When I saw those red costumes, they didn't go take it to another level and do the lizard part, like with exposed fake flesh, but it still looked cool to me. Women and men dressed in the red visitors uniforms. I thought that was great. I thought that was something I would never see. But I want to see a fembot cosplay. So I'm putting it out there. Now someone should do it. So rest in peace to Prentis Hancock. Rest in peace to Martin Landau. It sucks. Rest in peace to Pippa Scott. It sucks seeing these heroes of ours pass away, you know, and family members, more importantly, and pets. But we want to stay positive. That's what the Nostalgic Podblast is all about. I want you to look back with a smile on your face. So I'm going to sign off. I'm going to close with good old Louis Roy's version of the Space Giants theme. The American version, 2.0 syndication for Superstation WTBS by Lakeside Television, not Monsters from Outer Space version. Keebler said, well, don't watch Megan 2.0. It's a female murderous AI bot. Yeah, see, that's why I don't like AI. Because of fembots, my fear of fembots. The Stepford Wives, Westworld, whether it's a robot or a fembot, I just don't like that humanoid robot villain. It's just taps deep into my fears of being the youngster watching those terrible fembots. Oh man. And on 60mm film, I was fortunate enough to find all 5 fembot episodes, the Fembots in Las Vegas and Kill Oscar 3-parter. It's amazing on film. The sound, and the color's a little bit better in my Fembots in Las Vegas, but the color's not great in Kill Oscar, but there's little things in there that I've never seen anywhere else. Just like my Wonder Woman prints were things that Warner's cut or when they released it on home video for the masses. There's like this strange syndicated opening of the Bionic Woman created just for part 2 of Kill Oscar, because that was in the Bionic Woman syndication package, but it was a $6 Million Man episode. So they had to splice out the $6 Million Man opening and put in a Bionic Woman opening, and they created a whole new one. It shows a unique credit. I tried to put on YouTube, but copyright wouldn't let me. It was blocked worldwide by Universal. But it shows a shot of Rudy Wells. Not Alan Oppenheimer. He was the first actor to play Rudy Wells, and he was in Golden Girls and tons of other shows. Great actor. I think he's still with us. Martin E. Brooks. He's the second actor that played Rudy Wells. And there's a great shot of him from $6 Million Man with the block lettering, like, you know, the $6 Million Man block Universal style titles. It said his name, Martin E. Brooks, in the $6 Million Man style. And it had a different sound effect. Like the Bionic Woman sound effects are doing her powers. They were slightly different. And it was the season 1, part 2 theme of the Bionic Woman. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to describe. Someone on YouTube put the textless Bionic Woman opening. Look that up, that version of the theme. That's my favorite version of the theme. And it's in my film, this strange syndicated 1970s opening just for Australian TV. It was like so cool. It's on my film print. I got those from Australia, from a TV station that didn't need them anymore. And they were last shown on that station back in 1987, about 10, 11 years after they aired on ABC TV. All right, that's enough. I'm going to now sign us off with Louis Roy. We've gone over 2 hours. That's a good length. I'm trying to decrease the length of the Nostalgic Podblast. I'm going to try to get back to our regular features too, like the Nostalgic Treat of the Week, do some trivia, play taglines, do some of my regular bits I've gotten away from, and have everything in the normal Nostalgic Podblast format. But hope you have a great week. And remember, Jaws' 50th is coming up. Got to do something about that. And on Fistful of Radio, I'm rerunning my movie set during the summertime. It's on the air Monday night and Wednesday night at Fistful of Radio out of Atlanta. If you want to check it out, I think it starts at 6 p.m. Monday night, I think 6 or 7 p.m. And that was actually a pretty good show, I think, not because of me, but because of the clips I found. I did a lot of research. These are movies set during the summertime, not summer releases. So I thought that was one of my better podblasts, if anyone wants to check it out. And it's on video too on my YouTube channel, but you got to hit the video tab and go back a couple years. But a lot of good movies like you might not have thought about, like The Lifeguard with A Banquet Beer. You know the actor I'm talking about? And getting ready for Fantastic Four. Getting ready for it. It's going to be good. Sam Elliott's who I'm talking about. Al Hardy told me once he doesn't care for that actor. I think he's a great actor. That voice, that great. He did the Coors ad. He never got a credit, but you know it's him. A Banquet Beer. I can't do it. Coors. A banquet beer. What does that even mean? That's like Corinthian leather. A banquet beer? It's piss. I like Coors Light. I used to like Coors Light. I'm sorry. I know BBB likes Coors Light, and I used to drink a ton of Coors Light, but I don't drink it anymore. But a banquet beer, that's BS. And at the very beginning of the show, I played a Dentyne commercial featuring Victoria Principal. One of the first things she ever did. She's so pretty. Rewind the tape, replay crew. Look at the Dentyne commercial I launched this edition of the Nostalgic Podblast. It's pretty cool. All right, so now I'm just looking for my great music by the great Louis Roy. His last name is spelled ROI, like return on investment. This is his version of the 1977 Lakeside American TV theme to the Space Giants. Good night, everybody. Oh, and shout out to Remind Magazine. You can get Remind Magazine a full year, 10 issues for $12. Go to remindmagazine.com for details. And I wanted to show you the latest edition as we're live, not to date the show. It's about summer blockbusters. Oh, I thought I had it here. Oh, no. Well, go to remindmagazine.com. It makes a great gift. It's a great birthday gift, and your gift recipient will think of you all year long when they get that in their mailbox. There's a double-size issue in the summertime and at the holiday season. So it's 10 issues. Just go to remindmagazine.com, and a kind order specialist will assist you in processing your Remind subscription. Their wheelhouse is the 1950s through the 1990s. That's all they talk about. There's brain-teasing puzzles and games and interviews with your favorite stars. Go to remindmagazine.com, and please mention the Nostalgic Podblast when you order. And there we go. And our wonderful mod Keebs put the information up about it. So thank you so much. And thanks to them. Thanks to Remind Magazine. Thanks to you. I really appreciate you being here. Listen to me go on and on and on about geeky stuff. And I thank everybody for tuning in. Thanks for people that tuned in earlier too, like Barry King, BK on the air. He's got a great radio show, 10 a.m. to noon. Go to WBHF's website. That's the call letters of that radio station. Been around since 1946. Can you believe it? How incredible is that? Long live Space 1999. Oh, and I almost forgot our man in the seats, not man in the streets. Our man in the seats, JT. Al Hardy is still out there. He saw a movie, The Ballerina. I got a 2-minute review. Got to send him some popcorn for this one. Here's a pretty great detailed review of Ballerina by JT.
Hello, this is Movie Reviews by JT, and I got another review for you. Ballerina, the spinoff film in the John Wick franchise, and it stars Anna de Armas as Eve Monaco, directed by Lynn Wiseman. The film was great. A lot of violence, over-the-top crazy, a worthy spinoff film in the John Wick universe. I really enjoyed it, and Keanu Reeves also returned as John Wick in this film. It was great. I had fun, blast watching this film tonight in the theater and everything, and yeah, it was great. It also had Norman Reedus in it as well and everything, and yeah, it was a great film. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a lot of violence, crazy, and everything. It's great to see a sequel to this. Ana de Armas does a great job in this film. Our performance is solid. Keanu Reeves still great as John Wick. Ian McShane as Winston. The hotel, Continental Hotel, New York, and everything. Yeah, I had a great time watching this film, and I can't wait to watch it again when it comes to streaming very soon and everything. And yeah, I see every single John Wick film, and I was so excited for the spinoff film Ballerina and everything. And yeah, definitely go see this movie in theater this weekend. It is worth it and everything, so you're really going to enjoy this. If you're a fan of the John Wick franchise, you're definitely going to Ballerina. You're definitely going to dig this movie a lot and everything. I get Ballerina an 8 out of 7. Definitely check this movie out and everything. So that's my review for Ballerina. All right, bye.
Bye. And I thought of a nice merchandising idea for JT. He needs to have a t-shirt made up that says, in a quote, "and everything" on a t-shirt. I'm serious. And bumper stickers. He could have stickers, merch, shirts. It just says, "and everything." Thank you, JT. I'm going to mail you some popcorn. Keep them seats warm. And thank you for those reviews. Keep them coming. Can't wait to hear what you think about Superman and the Fantastic Four. That'll be exciting. And I'll certainly share it here on the Nostalgic Podblast. So, Al Hardy gives it an 8 out of 7. Oh, so you saw it. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, and it has Norman Reedus in it from Walking Dead, right? Daryl Dixon himself. So that's pretty cool. All right, now I'm finally going to show you. I did pull up the picture of the Remind magazine because I think it's a great cover. It's kind of scorched earth. I don't like it's a great magazine, and they support the Podblast. So, I got to delete something. Hang on, folks. It's been a real challenge today. Let me delete. I have so many pictures. Okay, I got to delete a picture so I can share this picture of Remind magazine. It's so fitting. They do really good art design. I love their covers. Most of their covers are just so cool. Here it is. There's the latest Remind magazine about summer blockbuster movies. And it's the usual suspects. Jaws, Star Wars, Batman. I'm Batman. Back to the Future. But it's a great read. I read that cover to cover. Excellent edition of Remind magazine. Oh, let me change my shot. There. Hey. So you can see my fat face as well as the magazine, Remind magazine. They do a fantastic job. Please support them. Print. It's not dead, but it's on life support. So we need to support great publications like Remind that takes us back to a simpler, happier time when all of our grandparents were alive and we were young and the life was ahead of you and not behind you. It was good. Yep. And I love the Virginian. Okay. Let me just do a quick. No, JT. Oh, 8 out of 7. Okay. You're giving JT an 8 out of 7. Oh, that's high praise. An 8 out of 7. Okay. Oh, is that what JT said? I need to rewind it. I got you. JT said he gives it an 8 out of 7. That's why you laughed. Hello. I need to open my ears. I need to, I guess, clean out some earwax or something. But I think that Moonbase Alpha looks pretty cool behind me. But let's beam on down to Podblast Central for a second. There, so you can see my getup because I put some Space 1999 and FF stuff behind me in my home studio set, as it were. I want you to be able to see it clearly. And here, so now I'm finally saying goodnight for real. I think I covered everything. And we will catch you next time. Stay safe, be good, and keep your memories alive. Good night.